the back and forth with radio hosts and reporters and fans, and it was a really great back and forth. And one person said, I wouldn't mind if you guys implemented a Positivity Monday. And I made sure to say back to that person, well, what happens if there was bad news over the weekend? What if there was a bad loss on a Saturday or a Sunday, or there was a coach that got fired? Like, we're going to have to react to it on a Monday. We're not doing Positivity Tuesday, for fair warning, because what the hell happened yesterday for our winter teams, Johnny? What the hell happened?
It was a bad day.
Like, horrible, horrific.
One that I expected with one of them, and I should have expected with the other. I expected with one, should have expected with the other.
You expected the Sixers because Joel Embiid and Paul George did not play yesterday.
That is correct. And I expected that, and then I should have expected it because of the
great road trip.
The lousy excuse of, when a team comes back from a road trip and they had a great road trip and then they come home after the long trip, they always come out flat. Whether that is excusable in your mind or not, it is a thing.
Sure.
Whether it's real or not, it's a thing. And so I should have expected more. I sat down to watch last night thinking, oh, man, 7 goals Friday night, and here it comes.
Against the Lange, too. Like, the best team in hockey. So in case you don't know what we're talking about, both the Sixers and Flyers were in action yesterday. And it was great if you had time on your hands, right, going into it, because the Sixers game had been moved up. Originally, the Sixers and Flyers, like most nights, were going to play at the exact same time. But because of the weather, they moved the Sixers game up to 3 o'clock, and the Flyers game was at 7. So if you were stranded at home yesterday, maybe you got your shoveling done early, you had something in the crock pot cooking.
Right.
You know what? Let me just nestle in and watch 6 hours of sports. Let me watch the Sixers.
Nestle in,
Post-game coverage, pre-game coverage of the Flyers, and then watch the Flyers game. And if you did do that, you just tortured yourself, because the Sixers go to Charlotte yesterday, and they lose 130 to 93.
Did they go to Charlotte? I didn't. I don't even know.
By the way, that 37-point loss doesn't do it justice. At one point, the Sixers trailed Charlotte by 50 in the game yesterday.
Did Tyrese pack his shot? I know they did not have Joel Embiid and Paul George. Did Tyrese pack his shot for the trip?
And by the way,
and I asked you the other day, the amount of minutes for Tyrese?
Yeah.
Is it affecting his shot?
It could. It leads the league in minutes per game.
Because his shot, you're saying they need somebody to put up bad shots. I could do that.
Yeah,
I could put a doctor.
It was not a banner day for Tyrese Maxey yesterday, finishing with just 6 points in 25 minutes.
I mean, he's been amazing.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to sit here and complain about Maxey.
But it's been the bad shot's been around.
Yeah.
A little while now.
It was a rough day yesterday. Sixers lose 130 to 93, and then you go, all right, the Flyers.
All right, here we go.
They'll save the day.
Here we go.
They're playing the Islanders. They just had the great trip. They earned a point in every single game, and they lose 4-0 to the Islanders. And by the way, as much as you want to say, well, it's the first game back from a road trip, that's a test game, the Islanders, because they're ahead of you in the division. That was a true test. What are we looking at? And I get it. The Flyers aced their test out west, but this was a team in front of you in the division where you could just sort of close that gap a little bit, and you get shut out.
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, that was a terrible, and I'm going to say it, that was a terrible effort last night. I know enough about hockey, and I know enough about watching hockey and watching it. That was a terrible effort last night, coming off of a large road trip. That was terrible. Absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know that Sam Urson is not in any way Dan Vladar. He's not. But if you're one of the fans last night mocking Urson, who, by the way, on that road trip played extremely well.
Yeah.
Extremely well. Got his stuff together and did really well. And if you're blaming him last night and you're mocking him last night, and there were fans down there doing it like you could hear on the broadcast, I'm just going to say you're idiots. That's the idiot fringe of our fan base that doesn't understand what they were
We're
watching.
dropping idiots 5 minutes in the show.
Well, that was that portion of the fan base that was there mocking Sam Urson last night. Absolutely, they are idiots because they do not understand it. And then the fans who go onto Twitter and are like, "This Flyers team, man, it's disgraceful. Every time I believe in them, this happened." I just can't.
They had a great weekend.
I can't.
But yesterday freaking sucked.
It was
Sixers
terrible.
and
It was
Flyers,
terrible.
Flyers
Bad day.
losses.
Bad day.
Bad
And
day.
that's why you can't do. You have to. But the thing is, like we just did, you take everything in perspective. Like with Tyrese. Tyrese was terrible. But Tyrese has been great. So you couch critique with the balance of he has been amazing. He's been amazing. Sam Urson was not the greatest last night, but he was spectacular for a road trip.
As everyone's favorite prophet once said, scheduled loss.
Oh, please.
That, of course, the great Doc Rivers.
Don't know basketball.
All right. So not only do we have to react to the Sixers and Flyers having their losses yesterday, they're horrible, horrific losses, a 37-point loss in basketball and a four-goal loss in hockey. Not really two things you want to hear, and they happen in the same day for the same city.
Yeah, that's not it.
We also have more people pulling themselves out of consideration for the Eagles' offensive coordinator position. So Declan Doyle was the latest hot name in the OC search for the Eagles. Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears, but of course Ben Johnson is the head coach and the play caller. So Doyle is an OC that doesn't call plays. So there are people that allow that lateral move, even though it's not technically a lateral move. By position it is, by title it is, but he would be calling plays here in Philadelphia. He was the 30-year-old that a lot of people are talking about how he could be the next big, bright mind in offenses, for offenses around the NFL. Well, he decided to pull himself out of consideration, not just with the Eagles, but for all other OC jobs, and he's going to stay with Chicago. But that is another name, and it's another intriguing name for people that is off the list. And Mike Kafka pulls himself. I know nobody really wanted to see that. He pulls himself out of consideration.
The Andy Reid Dollar Store still has one thing on the shelf. There's one thing on the shelf, and Kafka went off, and I went, okay, that's good.
At the end of the show yesterday, Charlie Weiss Jr., we found out, was staying in college. So he's not the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. So who is? We're reaching a point now. We told you during the show yesterday, right around 9:30, in the same time that we found out about Charlie Weiss Jr., that the Eagles were going to interview Gerard Johnson, who is the quarterback's coach of the Houston Texans, and everybody points to C.J. Stroud and the success that he's had.
What? What are you talking about? I've said, I'm glad we're. Is this part of that positivity Tuesday stuff?
Yeah. And by the way, Gerard Johnson has never called plays before. He's done such a beautiful
job. He's done such a great job with C.J. Stroud, who may be playing some of the worst quarterbacking in the NFL.
So here's the question that I'm going to ask today, because yesterday we did straight up say the OC topics are running thin. I'm going to ask a question about our hearts and brains and feelings. Are you starting to get worried about this? We've talked about why this isn't happening or why it is an intriguing destination. We've said it a million times. They're a winning organization. Two coaches have gotten promoted to be head coaches immediately. A year and a half for Shane Steichen as the play caller, a year for Kellen Moore, and they're head coaches in the NFL. They work at an organization that has success. They work for an organization that will put a lot of money and resources toward their roster, right? The Eagles are always one of the better on-paper rosters in the NFL and have been for a long time. So there is intrigue, a city that absolutely freaking cares. But then there's also questions, I'll say instead of concerns, questions about the quarterback, questions about the head coach that you'd be working for, questions about the organization that's very hands-on, questions about how much we care here in this city. And, oh, by the way, I mentioned the two coaches that got promoted to be head coaches. I can also talk about the two offensive coordinators that got fired after a year. So for all there's great reasons why, there's also not so great reasons why. We've talked about it for weeks now, ever since Kevin Patullo got fired. So now I want to ask, are you getting worried about it?
You know I am. You can look me right in the eye and you know I am. And my opinion is shifting because it's clear there is some sort of a blockade to the job. And I am absolutely not going to do the sit on the fence thing.
Sure.
It is the blockade is the head coach and the organizational blockades that they have put into place where you must assume this offensive line coach, you must assume this philosophy, you must come in here and live by this is what we want. Now, come on in and run your offense.
Right.
But you're going to run your offense in here. Let me fit you for this straitjacket, and you come in here and you be this young, creative guy. But you try to do the show in a straitjacket. That is what they're asking people to do. But one thing that I am absolutely convinced is that it is not the quarterback. It is not. As I can see from last year, just when across the NFL, Jalen Hurts was listed as the number one leader. We're talking front office, peers, leadership example in the NFL. He was number one. Not Mahomes, not Josh Allen, not any one of them. Jalen Hurts. You go and you do a detailed word search on Jalen Hurts and leadership, and you can find 178, Nerd Boy was a little tired yesterday, 178 individual references to coaches, football people, whatever, referencing his leadership. Now, how many you can find with Nick Sirianni? Doing the same exact criteria as Jalen Hurts. Any idea where I could find 178 yesterday, individual references where it went from his career, Jalen Hurts, from Oklahoma, Alabama, otherwise. And we're talking Nick Saban and other big names in college football talking about it. Know how many I can find for
25.
How about going less than that?
Oh, really?
How about going less than that? 23. And most of them come just from all about he builds a great culture. He's a great culture guy. Not a great football IQ. Not about the football IQ.
We know about the offense at this point.
It is. I am not sitting on a fence. I refuse to play the 50-50 game or the 6-7 game with anybody. It is the I believe the head coach and the organization's rules that are set in stone that is keeping them from getting a top-notch OC in here.
See, now this is amazing, all right? Because we're about to play 3 clips for you that goes completely contradictory to what you just said.
And I'm interested to hear them.
But I don't disagree with you.
I'm interested to hear them.
So it's funny.
Because mine, I can make my case very factually. So that's good. I want to hear him.
All right. So James Palmer, who's a tremendous insider for the National Football League.
He is.
He joins Middays with Marks every single Friday. So check out Middays with Marks, 10 o'clock every day here on the Fanatic. And James Palmer joins the show, I think, at 11 every single Friday. And so I want to play 3 clips for you that, again, kinds of contradicts what you just said. But I don't disagree with you, John, just to make that clear. Here was James Palmer. We'll start here talking about sort of the perception around the league about the Eagles and this offensive coordinator position.
I think it's around the league enough about what you have to do offensively to make this group work. Doesn't mean you can't win a lot of games with them. You certainly can. Kellen Moore did just that, and it got him a head coaching job. But the revolving door aspect of it as well is a little bit at play, I would think. But I do think when people look at the job, there's a couple things they're curious about, and maybe rightfully so.
All right, so what are those couple things, right? Because you could just say that and move on, but Johnny Marks, being the great radio host that he is, said, all right, what are those couple of things? Then James Palmer started focusing on basically one person. Here was Palmer talking about how the candidates are looking at Jalen Hurts.
I think when these guys are looking at the situation and the quarterback situation, they are going, can I run exactly what I want to run? I would assume that Kellen has talked to enough people and friends around the league that are also offensive minds. I'm not saying he's spreading rumors, but all these guys talk, and I think he's saying, I couldn't run certain things that I wanted to run. Now, he did a great job again, and they scored points, and I think whoever comes in has the ability to do that. I just think there is an aspect of the offense, and it's still Nick's offense, and you're coming in, with an offensive-minded head coach, per se, into that situation to where there's some things that might hold you back from doing the stuff that you want to do.
And then what are those some things? Well, what was the big talking point we had this year with Jalen Hurts and what he didn't do this year?
Won't run the ball.
Won't run the football, right? And is Jalen Hurts a good enough quarterback when he doesn't run the football? I'll be one of the first people to tell you no.
And I will double you up and say no, so I guess with Connor, that's a triple, right?
Yep. We
are all on the same page that if he doesn't, he's not as dangerous a threat.
We went into the playoffs. If you guys remember, we spent some time on it talking about, well, look, he hasn't run the ball all year, but he'll be the first to tell you that he will do whatever it takes to win. So maybe they were just taking care of him. We were wondering, was it a Hurts decision?
Sure.
Organizational decision? I hate the leaky faucet that was the reports coming out of the Eagles this year about all of a sudden, hey, don't point the finger at me, point it at him, and it felt like it was a lot of Kevin Patullo. So Jalen Hurts didn't run the football. And we looked at his carries per playoff runs. And the 2 runs that ended in a Super Bowl, he was running the ball 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a game and effectively. Then they go to the San Francisco game and he barely runs the ball and they lose. And we're wondering, well, what the hell happened? We all expected him to run the football more in the playoffs. Well, if he's not running the football, then how do people look at Jalen Hurts?
Guys were curious why he wasn't running the football this year. And there is definitely a conversation with many of offensive minds that I've spoken with around the league. And again, they're not in the Eagles building. And I always want to say that because nobody knows what's happening in the meetings outside of the guys in the meetings, right? We're all taking educated guesses from looking at film. And I'm looking to talk to the guys that are looking at the film and studying it that are also some of the best offensive minds in football. And they're going, if he's not running, defenses are going to play him differently. I'm curious why he's not running the football. That's part of the offense and it's part of what Jalen brings to the table.
And that's what us radio people have been saying, right?
We've said it all along.
James Palmer's a very well-connected reporter with the National Football League. And he's talking about how people are looking at the Eagles and going, all right, I'll say probably the way they actually say it. What does this guy do well if he doesn't do that?
Well,
that might be what they're saying.
Well, as you say that, so yesterday I had a long phone call with someone who is familiar, very familiar with the Zach Robinson situation, who could have been the Eagles' offensive coordinator.
Sure.
And Zach Robinson chose to go to Tampa Bay. He was never offered, this person says, from their understanding and knowledge, he was never offered the Eagles. Like, it's not like he turned the Eagles down. But what his understanding was, from personal knowledge, was that Zach Robinson, when he was hearing about the job, was hearing that he's a guy who likes to run. He's a guy with really creative run formations. Mm-hmm. Well, you've got to assume the offensive line coach. And the offensive line coach is our run game coordinator.
And he has his beliefs.
So, Zach Robinson, come in here and run the Eagles. You're the offensive coordinator, dude. Come on in here. You have your ideas. We're hiring you. We're hiring you. Oh, but by the way, come on in. The legendary offensive line coach is here, who, by the way, has all these veteran players in the room that are part of his camp. And you now are going to try to change the run style of the team, and he's the run game coordinator, and we're not taking that away from him. So what's Zach Robinson going to say? Hell no. I'm going to go somewhere where they let me do the job that I'm being hired to do. I'm not coming in here and being told, oh, yeah, come on in, do your thing, do your thing. Oh, but by the way, you're a really creative offensive coordinator about running the football, but you're not going to be able to do that because we've already got a guy who's the offensive line coach who also is the run game coordinator. So you two can collaborate and come up with something.
By the way, for the conversation, a very well-deserving, respected offensive line coach.
No, he is. Yeah. But you're not coming in and doing your thing.
Right.
You're being asked to collaborate with somebody. So why would you do that when you can go somewhere else and you're being hired to do what you want to do? And so this is the restrictions. There was one thing that James said in the very first soundbite. Coming in here and make this group work.
Right.
And it's a quote. He said, guys coming in here, he goes, they have to make this group work. You know what that group is? That's Nick Sirianni's philosophy.
Yep.
That's Howie Roseman's interference. And that's, you are assuming Jeff Stoutland, the run game coordinator. And it's not being talked about enough that you have a legendary offensive line coach who, by the way, and look, I'll say it, because he's legendary. We all love Jeff Stoutland and everything he's accomplished. But has the offensive line been developing the next level that well?
The year they won the Super Bowl, which
No,
was
the next level.
2 seasons ago.
The next level of what we need to when the other guys go away, the next level. So we're set up for the future. I think offensive coordinator candidates are shying away, and partially the reason is they don't get to be their own run game coordinator.
So much for that complete autonomy that we heard all about.
Correct.
So our question for you today is, are you starting to get worried about the offensive coordinator search? I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that go, no, whoever it is, they got all this talent. Are you starting to get worried? 610-632-0975. Now, coming up next, a lot of what you heard from James Palmer was about the quarterback, Johnny. But like you, I look at the coaching staff. I'm going to take you back into the audio vault of 97.5 The Fanatic.
Oh, boy, is it dusty in there?
Oh, it's not that far back. And you'll hear what people around the league think of Sirianni. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A rough Monday in Philadelphia. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a rough snow day for Philly sports yesterday as the Sixers and Flyers both got smoked in their games. The Sixers got trounced down in Charlotte, 130-93, losing to the Hornets.
They're up by 37, final 15 seconds. Jabari Walker going at Kalkbrenner, who knocks it away, and that'll do it. Final score here, Charlotte 130, the Sixers 93. Wow.
Wow is right from Tom McGinnis right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Charlotte shot 57% from the floor as the Sixers defense was essentially non-existent. They'll host the Bucks tonight at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Flyers weren't much better, getting shut out in a 4-0 loss to the Islanders. Ilya Sorokin, who has always seemed to have the Flyers number, was spectacular in net for New York. Flyers are off tonight. The Eagles had another development in their offensive coordinator search yesterday, and not a good one. According to a report from Diana Rossini, Declan Doyle has withdrawn his name from consideration. He'll head back to Chicago to be the OC. Mike Kafka pulled his name out as well, so we'll keep you updated on that. Amy Fadul joins us from the 8 o'clock hour to the end of the show. Tony Jones of The Athletic joins us at 9:05 to talk about what in the world happened to the Sixers yesterday. This update is brought to you by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease and research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
presented by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White, they're here for the pro.
It is 6:30 on this Tuesday morning here of Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We appreciate you joining us every single day, and we know a lot of you are back in action today. Most of you are back in action today. I know some schools are closed today. Some daycares are closed still today, so people are still.
The line between schools and daycare seems like it's getting closer and closer every day.
Oh, people are still getting back.
When
into
is Philly going to open? Soon? Soon?
I imagine tomorrow. I would think so.
So college kids can't go to class today in the city? It's amazing.
All I know is
let the kids drink.
All I know is that was the biggest time to party. Oh, no, school's canceled? All right, party time.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, so we're talking obviously about the offensive coordinator position, but this time we want to ask you personally, just are you worried about it? Because you know the big names that are no longer available. Then there were the intriguing names that are seemingly not on the table anymore, pull themselves out of consideration. And now we're left with who? Matt Nagy? Like, is that the only guy?
Okay, I'm going to say, Connor, I'm going to say it right now. If he doesn't stop saying it, this is like Beetlejuice. Stop saying it.
I'll keep on saying it.
Stop saying his name because it might end up here. And I'm telling you right now, and I have said it without any kind of, I'm working without a net here. If they hire Matt Nagy, this is the end of the Sirianni administration next year.
You said it last week.
I'm saying it right here. So, but stop saying it because you're going to talk it into existence. Like it's like Beetlejuice, right?
I just don't know who else is it.
Just don't say his name.
Shieldhouse.
No,
who a lot of people like.
He might end up being the Browns coach.
Right, exactly. Like he might get a head coaching job.
He could be the Browns coach because you see some organizations don't have a problem hiring guys with young, creative ideas where they're allowed to come in and do their own thing and not asked to assume. You have to assume these coaches. You have to assume this philosophy. You get to come in and actually do the job we're hiring you for.
Yeah. I mean, Gerard Johnson's another name that popped up. No play calling experience. And again, quarterback's coach of C.J. Stroud. That doesn't sound that great.
Yeah, how is that your resume line?
So are you starting to get worried? 610-632-0975. Now, you said last segment emphatically that you go coaching staff and organization. You don't even mention quarterback really when it comes to your opinion as to why the OC search continues here on January 27th. But I want to go back to February 6th of 2025, Johnny.
Wow.
You and I were hanging out, Radio Row, Bourbon Street.
We were.
Beat bopping around, having a good time in New Orleans before the Eagles went to the belt-to-ass tour of the Kansas City Chiefs and winning Super Bowl 59.
It's a great time.
So Steve Weish, who does a tremendous job for the NFL Network, he joined us on February 6th of 2025.
Weish is one of my favorite people.
And you just asked him, how do people view Nick Sirianni? Now, before we play the clip, understand this is a couple days before the Super Bowl, right? So the Eagles were NFC champions. Everybody's sky high.
And I set Steve up for this question because Steve and I have talked about Steve and I have known each other since he was the Falcons beat writer, and we were both in our early 30s.
Right.
Like, we've known each other forever. But I knew he would tell us because we've talked about it. So I knew he would tell us.
So listen to what Weish had to say about how people around the league view Nick Sirianni.
I don't know if that's going to stop, right? And look, it's why so many opposing coaches can't stand him. Right? They're just like, who is this little kid who thinks he's rewriting the rules of the game? But it works for him. If that's who he is, be the heel, right? Be the guy in the wrestling ring.
Mugging for the cameras and things like that.
Fine. If that's who it is, because if all of a sudden he changed, he becomes straight-laced, everyone, you guys, what happened to that guy? We're 9-8. What happened to that guy? Right. He needs to go back to being, the yapper, the guy who antagonizes everyone. So good for him. It doesn't seem to bother the players. It doesn't seem to bother people in the organization. Everybody else hates it. But again, play the heel and win.
And Steve, by the way, Steve has always, whether on radio with us or my conversations with Steve, he has always backed that up.
Right.
Nick Sirianni, and he loves Nick. Like he's always had good interactions.
A lot of people do, yeah.
He says, be who he is. You're buying Nick Sirianni for who he is.
We had Kevin Burkhardt on the week of the Eagles-Niners game, and he literally cursed. Good thing it was pre-recorded because we were able to bleep it out. He
doesn't give
Sirianni
a-
doesn't give a bleep. And,
Right.
and you know what? That's great. And look, I'm all about being yourself, being your true self and all that kind of stuff. But the point of playing that was not that. It was the beginning and the end. It was the sandwich, right? He said all the nice things in the middle, but the beginning and the end, he straight up told you people around the league don't like him.
Nope.
And so part of me wonders, is that a factor where there are people that don't want to work with Nick Sirianni? Now, it's not just that. Let's also talk about something that Jeff McClain said like a week or two ago.
What was that?
Remember he mentioned that Nick Sirianni was almost fired after the 2023 season? And Nick Sirianni was almost fired during the bye week of the 2024 season?
Yes.
You just said last week, and you just said it 5 minutes ago, you think that if it doesn't work out, he could be fired.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not sitting on a fence. If this team goes as far as it did this year, they go to the playoffs, don't win a playoff game, he's gone.
So?
He's gone. I put that at 100%. I believe he would be gone.
Is that a factor? Is that a factor? Jeff McClain's reporting, right? Straight up, like he almost got fired twice after the 23 season, and of course the bye week of the 24 season. Do people go, all right, so I take this job, and I do a good enough job, but the head coach gets fired.
What
happens to me?
Well, what's your gut instinct as a person?
I'd rather go somewhere where I believe I have stability.
Yes. And okay, if you're going someplace to do sports talk radio.
I'll tell you an honest story.
All right.
I was offered a position years ago.
All right.
And I asked the stability question. And I was told, well, we can't really guarantee that. That company was bankrupt within a year. And I'm glad I asked the question because I didn't take the job. I was like, what kind of stability are we talking here? And it went bankrupt in a year.
Well, what if I ask you this? Think if this is sort of because if you're interviewing for the Eagles offensive coordinator job, it's a very similar situation. I put it to both you and Connor. There is you're being brought in, and Scott Masteller, our boss, says to you, all right, I'm looking to hire you to do sports talk radio on 97.5 The Fanatic. And we're looking forward to having you. You've got great talents. I've heard your stuff, and we really want to hire you. Now, what I'm going to need you to do is my philosophy is I need every morning your hot take.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I need you to come in, and I need you to say something inflammatory that's going to make those phones light up before 6:05. You have to come up with something every single morning, and I want you firing for the next 4 hours every single thing you can possibly think of. And by the way, folks, if you don't think this goes on in the radio industry, you're not listening. We don't work for a guy like that. But what if, would that, as a creative guy, as a guy who enjoys doing this kind of work,
sure,
would that make you think, wow, am I really getting to do what I want to do?
Right. No, it's a fair point.
I mean, it's what coming in here with the Eagles right now, thing is like, Connor, how'd that make you feel?
I wouldn't love that. I like the ability to be a little bit creative and have my own thoughts on things. And if that's what the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator position is, that's a problem. But the real tricky part of this is coin flip % of the time, it works. And not just like, oh, you win 11 games. You go to the damn Super Bowl and you get a head coaching job. So it's so tough because of the organizational pedigree. But can you bet on that? And does that help you as an individual, or does that just help the team?
By the way, and that was
a great
That was my
point.
number one reason why I do believe this job's attractive, is that it's an organization.
It wins.
I know that it's a roller coaster. And maybe it's because we're so close to it. I'm sure there's other organizations that have just as much dysfunction, right? We just don't know it as much because we talk about this. We read everything about it.
Like
we
go to
listen to every
Dallas.
podcast. Right.
Dallas has
yeah,
it.
you want to talk about dysfunction. But this dysfunction has led to victories, right? Like they've won Super Bowls. They've been to multiple. They've had winning seasons. They finally broke the streak of no back-to-back division winners, right? So this organization is successful. And to your point, Connor, coin flip. The last 4 coordinators, 2 of which are head coaches. So I tend to look at the positives. If I was looking for a job and I saw that there were people that were promoted from within that job, I'd go, wow, that's really intriguing. But then people start going, yeah, but did you hear about John in sales? But did you hear about Bill in sanitation? Because those guys got promoted too and then quickly got fired.
Yeah, because, I mean, here's the thing is that, and I understand, and Connor's point was great there as far as it is, you're going to an organization that wins. But these other candidates, the guys that we're talking about, they either have great jobs they can stay at or they have other jobs that they can go to. So a Zach Robinson can interview with the Eagles and go, wait a minute, I have to inherit Jeff Stoutland. I'm a guy as an offensive coordinator who makes my bones because of the creativity I have with my run sets and my running game, setting up my passing game. But I'm being told, you get Jeff Stoutland and you have to work with Jeff Stoutland. So, and he's the run game coordinator. So why the hell would I come here when I can go to Tampa and I can be told, you're the offensive coordinator? Go do your thing. I'm telling you, as great as Jeff Stoutland is, as great as Nick Sirianni, his record is, it is the problem.
Sure.
That's the problem. You're being told, come on in, do your thing. Oh, but by the way, you're going to do your thing within the framework of what we do.
By the way, how much is it just reading the tea leaves, too? Again, if Sirianni gets fired.
And is Nick gone, right?
Then you lose your job, most likely, or there's a head coaching vacancy open. What did Ben Johnson do? Everybody thought Ben Johnson was going to be a head coach 2 years ago.
He turned down the Commanders.
He said, you know what, let me stay in Detroit for another year.
And we're lucky he turned down the Commanders.
Yeah, yes, we are. All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line for the first time this morning. Sorry, we are Chatty Cathy's this morning. Also, if you're looking for, like, anything from yesterday to be happy about, anything, in the 37-point loss for the Sixers and the 4-goal loss for the Flyers, maybe we got one? Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, let's talk about that FanDuel Sportsbook app, because now we're getting ready for the big one, the Super Bowl. It's the last call for football. It makes me sad. Last call for football on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, and the final chance to place your bets before the NFL season closes its tab. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure that you're in on it. If you're a new customer, you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So you could be backing the favorite. You could be riding with the underdog. You could be building one last same-game parlay. What I said to do is bet the $5 on the coin flip, and if you get it right, just listen to Connor Thomas, you get the $200. Then you could do some in-game betting throughout the rest of the Super Bowl. Make it count, because after all, after the Super Bowl, the season's over and football is officially done. Last call for football on FanDuel. I don't make it to last call at bars anymore, so this is my last call. The FanDuel Sportsbook app, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started. You got to be 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Flyers have
anything that we could take away from yesterday's debacles of the winter sports teams where we can go, at least that happened. There is one thing. I'll tell you what in a minute or two, but I do want to hear
I can't
on the
wait for
text
this.
line.
You've been holding this one because
I mean, it's not groundbreaking stuff.
I could have used it at 5 a.m. this morning.
Yeah,
but I'm
no,
glad we didn't tell me.
again, it's not groundbreaking. It's not going to make you feel all that better. It's just something to point out. But what do we got on the text line at 610-632-0975, Mr. Thomas?
Eric from Virginia will lead us off, and he says, I'll be concerned with the Eagles' offensive coordinator hiring process if they try to promote from within again. I'll reserve my concern until a new OC is hired as long as they're out of the organization.
There's no way that they're going to do that again. They can't promote from within when it's been a disaster the 2 times that they've done it. And, oh, by the way, who is it they're promoting?
Well, we have another texter checking in, Mike from Turnersville, who says, are we heading to Scott Loeffler being promoted to OC and Patullo back as passing game coordinator? Little job swap, boys?
No.
They can't do that.
They can't do it.
They
can't sell it.
I understand that it's not going well right now. I can't for the life of me believe that Howie and Jeffrey Lurie would go, yeah, you know what, let's just try this again with just a different name.
And if they do, it's a fool's errand.
Yeah. I can't see it. Our question today, if you're just tuning in, you can climb it at 610-632-0975. Are you starting to get concerned about the offensive coordinator search? We'll update everything to start the 7 o'clock hour because more names pulled themselves out of consideration yesterday. And it's just going to lead you to continue to think, why are people so afraid or hesitant to come to Philadelphia considering the success that they've had? I wonder, a lot of it, look, we talked about the coaching staff and how over the top it may be. I also wonder the thin ice conversation. Like if Sirianni almost got fired last year and you saw how bad it went this year, and if the league talks, right, which the league does, people talk to each other. And by the way, keep an eye on that Eagles coaching job. What if Nick gets fired? You might get fired too, or you may have an opportunity to move up to head coach from where you're at now. Just stick where you're at. Like Declan Doyle, a name that pulled himself out of consideration. He's the offensive coordinator of Chicago. He's in a great spot right now. He's with Ben Johnson.
Oh, well, I think
gets to learn another year.
Now, yesterday I put on the app and was listening a little bit to the Chicago sports radio station about it because I didn't know when I heard the Declan Doyle news. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me! And they were celebrating it.
Yeah. And
the word is that he had a conversation because his head coach, who he works with, passed up an opportunity to be the head coach of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
And everybody thought he was sort of signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah.
And Ben Johnson said at the last minute, nah, I'm going to stay one more year till I'm ready. And Declan Doyle's going to wait one more year till he knows he's really ready to call plays and be the boss. You don't
want to screw up your first shot.
Right.
And oh, by the way, he's 30. So
exactly. He's got plenty of time.
It's not like he's like, this is my last year. He's not Mike McCarthy.
Correct.
Right? 62 years old, right? He's 30.
And he believes the guy he's working for has his best interests in place.
Oh, yeah.
And that there will be other opportunities so that he was sort of told, hey, come on, you don't need to jump. You don't need to jump.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
All right, there's one thing to take away from yesterday, somewhat.
It's over.
What?
No,
Yesterday's over. Yeah, yesterday's over.
Exactly.
We don't have to relive January 26th again.
I'm not going to make too much of it because they're down 50 and it's garbage time. But it was nice to see Jared McCain have a pulse on the basketball court yesterday. He first comes into the game and airballs a 3, and then falls way short on a jumper. So you're going, oh, jeez, what happened to this kid? Like we saw last year, he was the one bright spot with the Sixers in what was a horrific season, and then he unfortunately gets hurt. And it's been an odd year for McCain this season. But then after those 2 horrible shots, he finishes 6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, and scores 16 points yesterday. And the reason why I bring it up, there's uncertainty about Quentin Grimes because Grimes could potentially be moved before the trade deadline, which is February 5th. If that's the case, you need some sort of scoring punch off the bench. And Jared McCain being sent down to the G League a lot this year, it was just nice to see him have a pulse on the court. I'm not getting overly excited. I'm just telling you, it's nice to see it.
I think that's a great takeaway. That's a great takeaway. And that's something that I think I was so soured on the game.
I mean, they lost by 37. I don't blame you.
And it was at one point, as you say, it was 46. It was
50 points 50. They trailed at one point.
It was an embarrassing effort too. I don't care if Embiid and George made the trip or not. That's the Charlotte freaking Hornets.
Hey, they're a top 11 team in the East. Have some respect.
You should never be trailing that team by 25, let alone 40 and 50.
Yeah.
That was a mailed-in game. You mailed it in.
Yeah.
And between the two winter teams.
Schedule loss, baby.
Between the two winter teams, that was really, really bad.
Schedule loss. I still can't believe he said it. We all know it. Like, I get it. It's just one of these things that you don't need to say it. Like, you don't need to say, Doc Rivers saying scheduled loss a few years ago. You just absolutely don't need to say. Nobody wants to hear that. People spend their hard-earned money. People take the time to watch these damn games. And you're telling me that the multi-million-dollar players have scheduled losses.
It's the NBA.
Oh, we're going to have a combo on it.
And we are. And it's the NBA product, and this is what they do to their fan base, to their ticket buying public.
Yeah. But the McCain thing, I think, is a really good point because to me, part of it's been the return from injury, but also you can kind of tell just by his demeanor, it's a little bit of a confidence thing. Like his reaction to first seeing one go in, like months ago when he was not making anything. Like, the kid just needs to believe in himself a little bit more and believe in his body, too, which I think only comes with time. But it's a good point that you bring up, and they're going to need him at some point.
I'm not trying to, overreact. Like, I don't think it's all of a sudden, we're back to first half of the season, Jared McCain.
I like the fact is that you sifted through the rubble and you found a pulse. I think that's good.
A pulse, that's all.
No, you're sifting through. Look, the building collapsed. And there may have been a survivor from yesterday.
It was Jared McCain.
There we go.
All right, coming up next, more on the Eagles OC search. We'll update you on everything that took place yesterday. We'll get more of your text messages. Are you starting to get concerned? I'm not asking you for you to tell us who you want. You're bummed out that you miss people. Are you getting concerned about this, considering we're now 2 weeks removed since the Eagles losing and 2 weeks removed to the day that Kevin Patullo got fired, and all the top candidates are gone? 610-632-0975. That, and Johnny, I don't know if your mom did, but my mom always told me as a kid not to buy the first toy I saw at the toy store.
My mom never took me and let me pick a toy.
Why don't you sift through first? Did Dave Dombrowski make that mistake? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Hey, be in business for 40 years almost, that means you're doing something right. And when you're dealing with people's retirement income and financial planning, that really means you're doing something right. And that's what Dan White and Associates have been doing in their offices in Glen Mills, PA, Middletown, and Lewis, Delaware, with offering you a complimentary no-risk consultation. They educate their clients, and they address each client's unique needs individually. And how do they get introduced to clients? Many, many times it's by word of mouth. But many, many times it's by people attending one of their seminars. You could come and have a great meal. You could listen to one of their speakers, and you could hear a lot about what Dan White and Associates can potentially do for you. Maybe you're looking to figure out a plan, for how you're going to pay for college, how you're going to get that next house. Or maybe you're like me and you're heading down that road towards retirement down the line, and you want to make sure, have I done all the right things? They offer you a complimentary no-risk consultation, too. So when you go to one of the seminars, you're not having that conversation there in front of other people. You're having it in private with their team. They're great, great folks. Get that complimentary no-risk consultation, and you can do it. They're great folks. They're good people that are going to take you through the process of that uncomfortable money conversation, and they'll make it comfortable for you. Check out danwhiteandassociates.com on the web and have that conversation to start out 2026.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers and Flyers get blown out. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a rough day in Philadelphia. Not just talking about the snow yesterday, as the Sixers and Flyers both got smoked in their game. Sixers lost 130-93 down in Charlotte to the Hornets. Charlotte shot 57% from the floor as the Sixers defense was essentially non-existent. They'll host the Bucks tonight at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live right here on The Fanatic. Flyers, they weren't much better. They got shut out in a 4-0 loss to the Islanders at home.
Siplikov, a man in front, they score. It's Pancho with his second of the game. J.G. Pancho's got his 10th of the season, and the Islanders take a 4-0 lead over the Flyers here late in the third.
That call from Tim Saunders here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Ilya Sorokin, who's always seemed to have the Flyers number in his career, was spectacular in net for New York in the shutout. Flyers are off tonight. Eagles had another development in their offense coordinator search yesterday. Not a great one. According to a report from Diana Rossini, Declan Doyle has withdrawn his name from consideration. He'll head back to be the OC in Chicago. Mike Kafka pulled his name out as well. We'll talk to Amy Fadul from the 8 o'clock hour to the end of the show. Tony Jones of The Athletic joins us at 9:05 to talk some Sixers hoops. This update is brought to you by Temple Basketball. It's a whiteout at the Liacouras Center this Saturday as the Owls host South Florida in a nationally televised primetime matchup featuring two teams near the top of the American Conference standings. Wear white, be loud, and let's go Owls. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, it is a Tuesday morning here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. And we opened up the show talking about what the hell happened yesterday, trying to figure out what the hell happened yesterday. Sixers losing by 37 points to the Charlotte Hornets. The Flyers losing 4-0 to the New York Islanders. The Flyers one's more disappointing just because of the matchup. Like
the momentum and it's a 4-point game,
right? And it's a team that's ahead of you in your division, and you go out there and just get spanked. The Sixers was a sheer embarrassment. And again, it's what I said last week or 2 weeks ago? They all
run into each other.
You can understand the plan and still hate it. I understand why Joel Embiid and Paul George didn't play yesterday. Like I get it. The Sixers played today.
Okay,
it's a back-to-back.
You understand? Okay, why the same day? Because there's a couple people on.
Right.
morning.
Why not play one guy one day?
Yes. Explain why you understand that.
Here's my guess, and Nick Nurse could probably speak to this better.
We got to get Nick on.
If we're talking about what's been one of the biggest issues with the Sixers over the years, other than health, obviously, it's continuity. They've not had the same team. The team. Daryl Morey straight up says it. Don't evaluate the team opening night. Evaluate them after the trade deadline, and we're always left upset after the trade deadline.
All right.
So, if you're going to have X amount of games where Joel Embiid can play and Paul George can play, it may be better to play them together every single time because that gives them the chance to figure out how you're going to work one another. By the way, Nick Nurse needs to figure out how to coach the big three together. Remember, early on in the year, it was ugly. When all three players were on the court,
right.
it was a hideous product.
All right,
Nick Nurse tried to figure out a way to make it work, and he did.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can understand that would be a logical. If someone tells me that, Nick Nurse tells me that's a logical philosophy.
Now, look, if one of the two played yesterday, maybe you win that basketball
and
game.
That's what I'm saying.
And if one of the two played tonight, the Bucks stink. You could win that basketball game.
That's what I'm saying.
So I get where you're coming from.
You're just penciling in. It's like you're just penciling in losses. That annoys me.
But then if you do that, so Paul George and Embiid and all of them, they played together last on Saturday. against the Knicks, right? Where they unfortunately lost. They made a great effort to come back in that basketball game. If you did the one guy plays one night, the other guy plays another night, the next time all three play together would be Thursday. So it would be 5 days since they've all played with one another, and then they got to figure out, all right, this is my role when I'm not playing with Embiid, but this is my role when I do play with Embiid.
All right, very logical. That's a logical take. Connor, is that where you are?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I didn't have that thought, but that's why Andrew's name is on the show and your name's on the show.
It's logical. No, that's logical.
You don't have to love it, and that's why I said
I know,
you understand a plan, but don't love it.
I don't. Yeah, I don't love it.
Because they're losing basketball. Like, look, that loss yesterday, it's not just the fact that it's embarrassing they lost by 37 points. They're only 3 games over 500 now because they lost 2 straight. Right? They're 24-21, and we're talking about the wide open East. Now, look, 24-21 doesn't put them into play, and they're still the 6th seed, and they're 3 games back at the 3 seed. Like, that's how tight the Eastern Conference is right now. But they got to pile up wins at some point. And unfortunately, they lose yesterday because they don't have their guys. All right, so the other thing we're obviously talking about, our topic for you at 610-632-0975 is whether or not you're starting to get concerned about the Eagles' offensive coordinator search. We just talked about it. Declan Doyle, who was the newest hot commodity that people were starting to get excited about here. The league's excited about him, but here people are starting to talk themselves into a young guy, different mindset, could have different ideas, which is not something that we've seen with the Eagles in recent years. And he withdraws himself from consideration for the Eagles job and others and wants to stay in Chicago as the OC, just not calling plays, and he'll have another year learning under Ben Johnson. We already told you earlier in the week that Bobby Slowick, a name that you and I were both excited about, he's staying in Miami as the offensive coordinator. He got a promotion with Mike McDaniel getting fired. He's the OC in Miami. And, of course, we already know that Mike McDaniel and Brian Daboll, well, Dable's technically still available, but who knows at this point. The top guys aren't coming here. And now you're starting to wonder why, which we've been asking that for a couple weeks. So my wonder is, are you starting to get worried about it? What do we have on the text line at 610-632-0975? Because the great organization that is the Philadelphia Eagles, it seems like people don't view it that way.
This texter checks in, says, I'm concerned but not panicking. Does this mean we may have eyes on a staffer from a Super Bowl team? Maybe we were eyeing somebody from the Rams. But if we end up missing again this year, Nick will have to win a Super Bowl to return as head coach the following year.
Or a couple playoff games. Win 1 or 2. Look, I know that the Schulhace is the guy that a lot of people point to.
And I think he's going to be I do think he's going to get the Browns job. That I don't see them. I don't see the Browns giving the job like to anybody else that's out there. So I think he's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think he's getting the Raiders job. So.
By the way, he's also getting interviewed Bills requested an interview.
Right.
So he's getting head coaching interviews, and the only thing you see if he doesn't take a head coaching job is, all right, sure, he wants a promotion and title somehow. And that could be OC of the Philadelphia Eagles. It is a possibility, but there's a lot of talk about him being a head coach.
I don't think there's any way he's coming here.
Oh, God.
I don't think there's any way he's coming here. Why would you come here where these other organizations are saying, here, we're tossing you the keys. You're the mastermind. Do what you want. You're tossing the keys. Oh, come on in. Nick's got this really restrictive philosophy. Oh, and come on over here and meet Jeff Stoutland. Yeah, and Jeff Stoutland's going to tell you you've got this offensive philosophy as far as your running game. So all those creative things you want to do in the running game, yeah, well, Jeff likes to do it this way. You're not getting one of these guys.
So I appreciate the positive spin from the texter. Like maybe they're waiting. So let's talk about it. Schulhace probably going to be a head coach somewhere.
I'm thinking.
The offensive coordinator of the Broncos, because look, Sean Payton's the guy that's calling plays, is Joe Lombardi. He's 54 years old. And he's like a journeyman coach at this point in the NFL. Is anyone talking about Joe Lombardi?
Nope.
Nah. Nobody's saying anything about Joe Lombardi. Let's say that you were thinking maybe if Seattle lost. Well, Kubiak's not going anywhere unless he's going to be
not coming here.
Unless he's going to be a head coach. Right. Like he's already the offensive coordinator that's calling plays for the team that's in the freaking Super Bowl.
He's not coming here.
And then in New England, what are you going to do? Josh McDaniels?
He's never leaving there.
Josh McDaniels, he's left multiple times.
That guy could stay there forever. And you know what? They'll love it because he's a good OC for the New England Patriots. And
he's one of the highest paid OCs in the league.
It's a nice positive spin, but if you were waiting for any of the two teams that won to lose, you're not getting any of those guys. Or if the two teams that did lose, who are you getting? Like Joe Lombardi? Like, what are we doing here?
You could look at like Mike LaFleur with the Rams, who could look at an offensive
I
coordinator
think he'll
position.
be a head coach.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get a head coaching job.
He intrigues me because he's at least called plays before.
He has.
And now he's been working with McVay. So that intrigues me.
Yep.
But
That's an intriguing name.
Like the last one. Who are the intriguing
I don't think there's
names?
any way LaFleur's coming here to work under this restrictive philosophy either because he can't get creative.
Right.
You're not going to get – we're not getting a young, creative mind to come in here when they can go other places and do their thing, and they got to come here, and they're in the Stone Age. They're here with Fred and Barney. Honestly, it's what it is. I hate to do that to you, but it's the truth. You're asking people to come here, and it's, okay, but you got to deal with our old, staid philosophies and just assume them. And if you're being told, yeah, just work with Jeff Stoutland. He's a genius, and he's a legend. Yes, he is a legend, but his methods are going to take one of these young creative minds and absolutely take away half of their playbook.
Yeah, I think you're slightly overstating it because this is the very much Philadelphia perspective, what we're talking about now. And maybe it's not wrong, but the alternative side to this is they won a Super Bowl with this scheme last year. So
right,
it's not like you said these old staid philosophies. Maybe they seem old compared to what the rest of the NFL is doing right now, or the majority of teams, but they won pretty comfortably with it like a calendar year.
But here's my problem, and it's what did I say during the offseason? You can't copy paste and what you've done. And Nick Sirianni is straight up said, it's my system and blah blah blah.
And you can't and more importantly too is when other guys have other options, as you can see, it's not desirable to come here and work with Nick Sirianni and Jeff Stoutland is much more of a problem than working with Jalen Hurts. It is in my mind. Here's the scales. I'm doing it for you for the YouTube audience. The scales is totally overweighed by dealing with Nick Sirianni, his lack of job security, his interfering nature of his philosophy, which is so restrictive, and dealing with Jeff Stoutland. Because I can tell you, as I said in the last hour, the Zach Robinson story. Zach Robinson, a creative running game type of guy. Oh, come here. Oh, no, but you're not going to be the run game coordinator. What? Forget it. Forget it. You're not getting one of those guys.
All right. Did Dave Dombrowski make a toy store mistake? Give us a text message first, and then we'll talk about it. 610-632-0975.
All right, this texter checks in, says, I think it was the exact same thing when they hired Sirianni to begin with, talking about the potential drawbacks of the Eagles' offensive coordinator position. He was the only one that would cower to the ownership's meddling demands, and that is playing itself out in every coach since. Doug was the only one who didn't want to do it anymore, and we know what happened to him.
Yeah, look, Sirianni, let's face it, when the Eagles have been hiring head coaches recently, it's the non-Chip Kelly, right?
That's fair.
Can it be somebody that will work with us or for us? And that was Doug Peterson, and that was Nick Sirianni. Now, look, worked. They won a Super Bowl with both of those guys. But it's going to always come down from Howie. It's going to come down from Jeffrey Lurie. And so Nick Sirianni, to the texter's point, when they said, hey, we need to fire Brian Johnson, he said, okay. Hey, we need to fire your best friend, Kevin Patullo. Okay. And look, can you blame him? No. He's getting paid millions of dollars. He's the head coach of a freaking football team. I can't blame the guy. I get it. You want to talk about loyalty, and Doug Peterson was clearly loyal to his guys, but there is also the term of loyal to a fault. And that ultimately costs
his money's
Doug
all
Peterson
guaranteed.
Here.
Nick's money's all guaranteed, so you can do one of two things. You can cower, or you can stand there and say, I'm standing my ground. I'm glad he didn't stand his ground on Kevin Patullo and that he was smart enough to realize he's terrible.
By the way, I don't think that's cowarding, like the wanting not sticking up for Patullo.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm glad that Doug Peterson didn't cower for his job.
Sure.
He said, no, I'm not firing my guys. Now, I think it was a fool's again. I think he was foolish because I think he once again Press Taylor wasn't evaluated properly by a guy, and he never understood his own staff.
Yeah, and that's why it didn't last long in Jacksonville either. All right, so the Phillies did not re-sign a player.
The Phillies.
It is official. Harrison Bader will be manning the outfield for the San Francisco Giants. He got a 2-year deal worth a total of $20 million. There's a reason why I point that out. The Phillies signed way back in the beginning of the offseason Adolis Garcia to a 1-year, $10 million contract. So if you were to multiply that by 2, it would be 2 for $20. The Phillies did not want to do that with Harrison Bader. So now your outfield, I think we can comfortably say, will be Marsh / championship type player Otto Kemp, per Dave Dombrowski, Justin Crawford, and Adolis Garcia.
It's the worst outfield in baseball of any team that says they are a playoff contender.
Now,
and it's not close.
I stand by what I've said. Harrison Bader wouldn't have moved the needle for me where I'm saying, you know what? Forget everything I've said about this offseason. This is great. But what I would have said is, okay, my outfield has an everyday center fielder that I know
defensively
can
play the position. They told you last year they were getting ready for Crawford to be their left fielder.
That's what
not their center fielder.
People forget that the Phillies themselves, but also people that evaluate the league more so than the way we do, said that Justin Crawford could very well end up being a left fielder. And so Harrison Bader is your staple in center. Last week when we talked about it, a couple people responded to me on social media saying, yeah, but you're going to mess with Crawford's growth.
No.
There are baseball people smarter than us that are saying he's destined to play left field. And so now you would be having a left fielder every day. Nobody's touching Crawford. He plays left field. He's in the lineup 140 times.
He's your 9-hole hitter. He's playing every day. He's in left field. He can ease into his major league career.
Yep.
No pressure. No pressure on him. It's a beautiful thing.
And now he's playing center field.
Which is going to cause a MLB network saying it is one of the 10 toughest center fields in the game. And he's going to be defending it.
What, Citizens Bank?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the 10 because of angles and
that
walls
wall center
and
field
stuff like that. It's one
he can run for days.
And they're asking him to play that. This is such a bad offseason for the Phillies.
I don't think he's going to be horrible in center field.
No,
I just want it to be clear. Your outfield is pick one. Would you rather Crawford, Bader, Garcia, or Marsh / Kemp, Crawford, Garcia?
Marsh and Kemp? The minute you start with that, it's ridiculous. This is a team that people are going to try to spin to you can win a World Series?
Good club.
Stop peeing on me and telling me that it's raining. You're lying. And it's a terrible. You're a top 3 payroll team, and that's your outfield? You've done a horrendous job building this roster. Horrendous. And you're willing to give Garcia $10 million, but you won't give Bader $20 million? Are you crazy?
That makes total sense. The Garcia versus Bader thing makes total sense.
Explain.
Because Bader, you can't get caught up in what he did in Philadelphia post-trade deadline last year.
I was the first one to say that, and I got ripped for it.
This dude.
By you.
This dude is a no. I mean, listen.
Over Garcia?
I've said that.
Right, and I never said he's as good as he is right now. I'm saying this is how he's playing. So you got to evaluate how he's playing in the moment. But in paying a guy a 2-year deal, here's the thing. Garcia's a year older, right? So Harrison Bader's 2-year deal brings him to the age that Garcia's 1-year deal brings him to. The contract's essentially exactly the same from age and dollar standpoint. The only difference is you've only got 1 year of Garcia. But Garcia's a guy that over 162, his average is 30 home runs and nearly 100 RBIs. Bader is 15 home runs and 57 RBIs.
Okay, you're going to do this thing where you're going to try to give me averages. Tell me Garcia recently, not what he did 3-4 years ago.
I don't want to do this Kepler thing again.
No, we're not going back to this. Yeah, I don't want any of this Kepler stuff. Tell me what Garcia is now in 2026, not what he is on the back of his baseball card from years ago. He's not that player, Connor.
He's as good.
He's not a 100 RBI guy now.
He's as good of a defender as Harrison Bader. He has more pop.
I would give you that.
He has more
right
pop
field
from the right side than Harrison Bader will ever give you. He's a better right-handed power bat. Now, is he going to strike out more? Sure. Will he hit the same average? He's 10 points lower career average than Bader, so the average won't be the same. But Harrison Bader is a career 247 hitter that hits about 15 a year. He's not an all-star. And people are treating him like we just let Willie Mays walk out the door.
No. Here's my problem. I'm not treating him like Willie Mays. And I was the first one to say don't buy into the second half where he all of a sudden played like Willie Mays. You could have both, though. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, there's no salary cap. Go ahead, John. Pay your taxes, right? Like, pay your luxury tax. The Los Angeles Dodgers just gave Kyle Tucker $18 billion to play for 3 years. And the Phillies can't penny pinch.
You're not the Dodgers. Nobody's the Dodgers.
The Phillies payroll is. The Phillies payroll is right up there with the Dodgers. And the Phillies don't want to pay Harrison Bader to shore up your outfield because they think Otto Kemp, again, Dave Dombrowski's words, not mine, championship-type player.
Yeah, okay, we're doing the same Bichette thing. They've already told you. Like, I could have told you in November that Harrison Bader's not going to be back. They weren't going to pay him. They had their goals this offseason. They did it. We're beating our heads against the same wall.
Well, then their goals suck.
But their goals are terrible.
Correct. But we knew this was coming. It's like every move that they don't make is a surprise when they've told you they're not making the move.
But they're looking at it. But no, they're sitting here. It's all right to have a plan, Connor, in November. But then you're sitting here in late January, and you realize your plan stinks. They realized it just a week ago that their plan stunk. That's why they were desperately going after Bichette. They acknowledged our plan, our offseason plan, it's failing, it stinks. So now we're desperately going after somebody last minute to try to salvage it. Now you're not getting him, so you look at it and you say, we cannot do Marsh and Kemp. If we want to be legitimately trying to sell people that we're competing to try to win a World Series, you cannot have a quad A outfield. And they have the worst outfield in baseball of any team that is trying to peddle themselves off as a potential playoff contender. It's terrible.
They had a worse outfield on opening day last year than what they will trot out on opening day this year. And they won 96 games and the division. Second best record in baseball.
They went and corrected things, which they did by going and getting Bader. They have to make a move. You can make a move now, so that way you don't have to go and make a bunch of moves later. You have a chance to make a move that would have absolutely made them better. Are you going to not say that they would be better?
They'd be better with Harrison Bader. Here's what I'll bet you. I'll bet you there will be multiple outfielders at the trade deadline that are better than Harrison Bader that will make you even better than he would, locking him down for a 2-year deal where he's a career 247 hitter.
I saw a tweet from Philly Nation.
Okay.
To your, not Phillies Nation, Philly Nation. Another account. To exactly what you just said, John. It's got arrows pointing in a circle, right? The top one, have a clear need. The arrow then goes to sign someone that will suck. Then the arrow goes to trade decent prospect captain or capital for a rental to help fill the hole. Then it goes to don't retain the guy even if he was good. Back to have
start the cycle again. They do it over and over again.
Jordan Romano, Max Kepler.
By the way, 2 different Phillies writers. What did the Phillies clubhouse get when Harrison Bader came into it? 2 different guys who covered the Phillies. Positive energy. He brought in a professionalism and excitement and everything to that clubhouse. That's now gone.
Got a good club.
But, we got Otto Kemp, baby.
Championship-type player,
We're going with quad A players saying, hey, we're legitimately trying. With a top 3 payroll, this is an embarrassment.
Same team that loved Weston Wilson.
It's an embarrassment.
Funny.
Dub.
All right, coming up next, we'll discuss something before we welcome in Amy Fadul at 8 o'clock this morning. It's a Tuesday with Amy. The Sixers got destroyed yesterday. Was it their problem or the NBA's? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
2 big losses. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a rough snow day for Philly sports yesterday. The Sixers and Flyers both got smoked in their games. The Sixers from blowout loss down in Charlotte, 130-93. They fell to the Hornets.
They're up by 37, final 15 seconds. Jabari Walker going at Kalkbrenner, who knocks it away, and that'll do it. Final score here, Charlotte 130, the Sixers 93. Wow.
That wow is all you need to hear from Tom McGinnis making that call here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Charlotte shot 57% from the floor as the Sixers defense was essentially non-existent in the game. They host the Bucks tonight at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Flyers weren't much better. They got shut out 4-0 in a loss to the Islanders. Ilya Sorokin was nasty in net for the Islanders. He always seems to be good against the Flyers. They're off tonight. The Eagles had another development in their offense coordinator search yesterday. Not a good one. According to a report from Diana Rossini, Declan Doyle has withdrawn his name from consideration. He'll head back to Chicago as the OC. Mike Kafka also pulling his name out of the Eagles job search. Amy Fadul joins us from the 8 o'clock hour to the end of the show. Tony Jones will join us at 9:05 for his thoughts on the Sixers. Covers them for The Athletic. This update's brought to you by Uber Eats. Philly, you hungry? Good thing Uber Eats has a great deal waiting for you at Lockout Your Cheetah Food Truck from now until June 30th. Get a buy one, get one deal on select items on the app. Order now only on Uber Eats. Terms apply. See app for details. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
at least most of the time. Now let's listen to more Kincade and Salciunas before I change my mind.
7 a.m. hours brought to you by the BetParks online casino and sportsbook app. Live bet sports on the BetParks app. Play all your favorite casino games. There's always another way to win on the BetParks online casino and sportsbook. Got to be 21 in Pennsylvania, Jersey, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It is 7:30 here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Good Tuesday morning to you following a horrific Philadelphia sports day. Sixers losing by 37 points to the Charlotte Hornets. Flyers losing 4-0 to the Islanders. And, of course, more candidates for the Eagles' offensive coordinator position withdrawing themselves from the conversation. Declan Doyle being the most prominent one.
Connor, when's your interview?
They told me not to come anywhere near the Novacare complex.
It's unbelievable that, like, we're here.
I like the thorough nature of it, and I really do. I'm not trying to be flippant. I really do like the thorough nature that they've taken. But I'm really not. There's too much. There right now is too much smoke. And yesterday, again, having a conversation with someone who had some knowledge of Zach Robinson's interactions, that Zach Robinson's up for a job and he's a very creative offensive coordinator with run game sets and everything like that. And it's like, yeah, if I come to Philly, I'm inheriting Jeff Stoutland, and Jeff Stoutland's the run game coordinator. And it's like, yeah, well, you're going to come here and you get to do your thing, but here's Jeff Stoutland, and you guys work it out.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that. Like, if you're desperate for a job, if you're Matt Nagy, you'd probably do.
Right, absolutely.
Somebody who's not getting a job.
I love how Andy's going to bat for him. Like, I respect it.
I love that about Andy, too.
But it's like, then why didn't you keep him?
Seriously.
Now, it's because he wants to call plays. I get it. And he's not going to with Andy. But you love him so much, he's not sticking around. Okay. All right, so what do we got on the text line when it comes to those talking points? 610-632-0975. And then we're going to have a conversation about the NBA, not just necessarily the Sixers, but the league itself. What do we got on the text line?
Mike from Levittown checks in, says, not sure how anyone can just glaze over the Jalen influence on this whole thing. Also not sure what his leadership has to do with the fact that his offense always looks the same. The fact that he told us in an interview that the offense is basically going to run how he wants it to. How is he not a large part of the problem?
He is.
Yeah, I think it is. I put it in my summation today. I put it there. And it's on my Twitter feed, and I put it out exactly what I think about it, is that asking a top Eagles offensive candidate to deal with the head coach's ultra-conservative approach and his own lack of job security, not getting to coordinate your own run game philosophy, and trying to grasp what version of running quarterback Jalen Hurts is willing to be. And if Jalen Hurts isn't willing to be a big running quarterback, that's a problem.
Yeah, let's play James Palmer. Cut 2 there, Connor. Last week when he joined Middays with Marks, as he does every single Friday at 11 o'clock, a lot of the questions were, why? Why is it still open? And, oh, by the way, that was Friday. It's Tuesday, and we're still trying to figure out who the hell the offensive coordinator of the Eagles will be. Here's James Palmer talking about how a lot of people are looking at the quarterback.
I think when these guys are looking at the situation and the quarterback situation, they are going, can I run exactly what I want to run? I would assume that Kellen has talked to enough people and friends around the league that are also offensive minds. I'm not saying he's spreading rumors, but all these guys talk, and I think he's saying, I couldn't run certain things that I wanted to run. Now, he did a great job again, and they scored points, and I think whoever comes in has the ability to do that. I just think there is an aspect of the offense, and it's still Nick's offense, and you're coming in, with an offensive-minded head coach, per se, into that situation to where there's some things that might hold you back from doing the stuff that you want to do.
I love the per se.
Per se? Well, I mean, he's the son of the great Scott Palmer.
Oh, God.
I mean, so he was trained by one of the best.
It's just a complete autonomy was a talking point 2 weeks ago.
That is the complete autonomy line. I can tell you, I think I've confirmed it, is complete BS. Because you don't get to pick your run game coordinator. You don't get to call. So whatever run game you want to come in with, whatever philosophy you have, you don't get to have it. Or at the very least, you've got to coordinate it with a guy who's been here forever, who has a bunch of veterans on the offensive line that's got to be very intimidating. And if you're one of these young offensive masterminds, that's got to be really intimidating.
Sure.
And to me, that wouldn't be an attractive job.
All right. You can climb in 610-632-0975. We'll continue to check our text line. But let's talk a little bit about the association, the NBA. So it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but Sixers lose by 37 points to the Hornets yesterday. We joked about it earlier. Doc Rivers dropping the schedule loss line a couple of years ago as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. Something that like you kind of knew, but you never wanted to hear it.
Okay.
Right? You never want to hear a coach say, yeah, there's games where you're going to lose, especially against bad teams. So the Hornets are a bad basketball team. They're 9 games under 500 after yesterday's win. Some of their wins this year, 130-93 against the Sixers just yesterday, right? So a 37-point victory. There was a 124-97 win over the Magic, another team that people look at and go, it's an interesting team in the Eastern Conference. A 110 win to 87 in Denver against the Nuggets. Now, I get it, Jokic is hurt, but you still look at the Nuggets, you go, okay. The Lakers, 135-117 they beat. How about the Thunder, the defending champions? Back on January 5th, they beat 124-97. These are beatdowns. And the Hornets suck. The Hornets are a bad basketball team.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're terrible.
It tells me that there are a lot of people that go, we're playing the Hornets.
And tonight
they're not terrible. Amy's ready to go.
And
they're
tonight
terrible.
the
Hornets suck.
They have a top 5 offense.
The Hornets suck.
They're terrible. That's a terrible basketball team. And to mail in that effort yesterday, and again effort to mail it in, that's bad.
Now you're not just looking at that for a Sixers perspective.
No,
it's the league. The reason why I point out those teams, those are other top teams or teams that are considered, contenders.
I must ask you, the NHL is a much more rugged product than the NBA. It is a much more physically taxing sport to play NHL hockey 82 games than to play NBA basketball 82 games. It is a physically more taxing sport.
I don't know if that's like 100% accurate, but go on.
You don't believe that?
40 minutes a night for some guys.
No, the physical nature of the beating that you take.
Okay.
The beating, physical beating is all I'm talking about. The physical beating you take. You can't play 82. You can't play. How about it? You can't play 75 games.
Right. I agree.
76 games. NHL players can. The top players in the game, the stars of the game, the stars that sell the game, can routinely play that many games. Barring them getting a major injury, they can routinely play. There is no such thing as load management in the NHL. There's no such thing. And the biggest stars who sell their sport play the game, barring an injury where they tweak a knee or they have a shoulder injury. And by the way, the way the NHL hides it is so stupid.
Upper body, lower body,
Upper body, lower body stuff. It's like they learned from Belichick. It is a freaking scam that the NBA is running. And by the way, the NBA's biggest stars of yesteryear agree with me 1,000% and say so on Inside the NBA and everything else because they all lived it. They know it's a scam. It's a joke. The NHL players, the stars, the people who come to buy the tickets, that you say, wait a minute, the Oilers are coming to town. This team's coming to town. Colorado's coming to town. I want to see these stars. When you buy a ticket, you absolutely know, yep, barring an injury, I'm going to see the biggest stars playing in the game because the stars show up to play and they play their game. The NBA has got a problem under this commissioner who has no, I don't know. I can't use the word. He has no guts to stand up to the players. And it's been a problem. David Stern had a much different relationship and a much more grasp on his sport. And it's a joke what they do to their consumers. The NBA is a joke to its consumers.
That's the biggest thing for me because the ticket buying public, I get it. You're sitting at home and you're going, George and Embiid aren't playing today. All right, I'm just not going to watch tonight. But somebody may have had tickets to that game and they spent money. And
a kid for Christmas in all these cities. A kid in Philadelphia, when the Oilers are coming to town, when Colorado's coming to town, when Vegas is coming to town, whoever it is, whatever stars of the game they want to see, they know if there's not an injury, The biggest stars will be on the ice in Philadelphia playing the game.
Right.
And the NBA, for some reason, has allowed this system where players just go, yeah, I'm not playing.
It's not,
and we allow it.
It's not just like
it's a joke. And this is not something that needs to be done because we have decades upon decades upon decades of data that shows NBA players were able to do it.
Yeah.
And by the way, they didn't travel on first-class jets where they could lay out on seats. And the way they travel today is much better.
Right, but it's never going to change, and there's nothing we can do about it, and there's nothing the league can do about it.
Unless they shorten the amount of games, which they're never going to do. And the problem is, like, you're talking about ticket buying and people that want to see stars. Forget football because football's football. But, like, how many times when we're doing this job, oh, the so-and-so are in town. Like, the teams do it. The Phillies, you'll hear Fransky. His voice is on both stations when it comes to the commercial product. Same with Tom McCarthy. The Red Sox are in town. Come buy your tickets now.
Yes.
It's not see Harper, even though it is. It's interleague play. See the Red Sox. Hey,
the Phillies battled the Red Sox.
Mike Trout and the Angels
are coming into Citizens Bank Park. Watch the Phillies battle the Red Sox.
You can't do that with the NBA.
No, you can't because you never know who's showing up because they don't care. And the old commissioner cared much more.
As you know, I was a revolutionary, one of the knuckleheads
you
that
were
stood
one of the
behind the court.
cosplayers.
Like, the amount of times I saw people buy tickets because the Heat were in town, and then LeBron didn't play, it was like, oh, I spent more money than normal for this game because I'm watching the team that's coming in more so than the team that plays here, and the guy that I wanted to see isn't playing.
The players,
and that's just gotten worse over time.
The players that blazed the trail for the modern players in the NBA scoff at this load management crap. And the players that blazed the trail for the NHL players and everything like that, they see the players continuing in the same method that they use.
We'll talk about it. Connor, you can say it's not going to change. It doesn't mean you can't voice your frustration because it is bad.
It's a joke.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas comes right next. Don't forget, Tuesdays with Amy. Amy joins us for the entire 8 and 9 o'clock hour. She's ready to go. So headlines next here on The Fanatic. Okay. Let's talk about Corona. Dry January ended for me on Sunday. And Connor can attest. I enjoyed my Coronas on Sunday during a championship weekend. I'm going to enjoy them on Saturday. Come hang out with me and my friends from Corona this Saturday, January 31st at the Borough Pub in Bristol from 6:30 to 8:30 for a Sixers pregame party that you don't want to miss. I'll be getting there ready for tip-off, and we've got awesome drink specials all night long. How about $4 Modelo drafts and $4 Corona bottles? The perfect way to kick off your Sixers night. Here's the best part. You can win a pair of Sixers tickets to an upcoming home game. So grab your friends, stop by the Borough Pub in Bristol, and hang out with us from 6:30 to 8:30 this Saturday night. It's the Fanatic Sixers pregame party hosted by me, Andrew Salciunas, and, of course, with my friends, Corona. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly. For more details, visit 975thefanatic.com, and we'll see you there.
The Sixers are open.
Amy Fadul will be with us for the remainder of the show, starting at 8 o'clock. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas here in a moment. But, we talk about the way that it is. It's just the way that it is in the NBA. Is it for the Thunder, who just won the NBA championship? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played 76 games last year, then played in 4 playoff series, won the championship, and he's played in 45 of their 47 games this year. And this isn't year 2 of his NBA career. So I get it, Connor. You're not wrong because the league does do it. A lot of teams do it. When during the break, Austin Jones, who runs our YouTube chat, he was talking about how it kind of really started not just with LeBron, but with Pop. Greg Popovich and the Spurs did it. And I said the worst thing was that it worked, right? Like the Spurs won. LeBron has won. Can we see a shift because the Thunder won? Where they played all the only guy that didn't play all season was Chet because he was injured. And he played 35 games last year. So could we see a shift because a team that did play their guys had success and, oh, by the way, they're one of the better teams again this year?
Nope. We cannot see a shift. So we came into work yesterday, even though it was crazy snowy outside, got a hotel. Thank you to folks at Beasley for setting us up. And there was nobody else on the road because everybody else was working from home. Now, there are some folks that go into the office every day. We're here every day. But since that became a thing, it's near impossible to get people to go back into the office because who's going to work more when you can offer them to work less? This is the Pandora's box of the NBA that's been opened, and you cannot close it. Once you allowed the guys, and this has been a years and years and years thing. This did not just start happening. Once you allow load management to exist, there's no way to take those players and then say, okay, you got to play every day because they're not going to. It's just the league's not going to revert back to that.
Yeah, look, I'm fine with the back-to-back thing for some guys. Like with Embiid. Embiid's got chronic knee issues. Like, I get it. But there's some remember earlier in the year, we're going to speak with Tony Jones today at 9:05. I think Tony was the one that told us, like, he's never going to play 3 games in 5 days. Like, it's not going to happen. For guys, like, with injury history, sure. But why is that for everybody?
Okay. Now, Tony had said that. And it's funny is you took one of the questions that one of the questions I'm going to ask Tony. Because he did say that to us, like, he's not going to be able to do this. So then if the Sixers make a second-round series, he's not playing in games 1, 2, and 3?
You know he's going to, yeah.
It's one of those things where, of course he is. But then they say he's not. And I have read that from other people other than Tony.
Sure.
So he is. Of course he is. It's just that they don't want to. They don't want to.
Yeah.
And they have already said that Embiid's camp is calling the shots. Is another thing I want to ask Tony about. He's calling the shots.
Well, he said that during the summer. So
no, he's still they're still.
No,
what
I'm saying is I'm not. That's not breaking
news. He's
news.
calling the shots. So it's what he wants to do. What is that? Like that's the way. That's where the NBA's off the rails.
Hey,
that's not the way it is.
Same goes with trades.
That's not the way it is.
Same goes with trades now. All right, time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with the Connor Thomas.
It's brought to us by Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name, Lundy Law. Whether it's actual injury or load management, your injury lawyers will help you out. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. We're going to start out with a guy we've mentioned a couple of times on the show here, college quarterback. He was hot in the news with the Heisman voting, and he was back in the spotlight yesterday. Must have been a small spotlight. Diego Pavia got measured as he looks for what he's going to do next in his career as a quarterback. And even though he was listed as 6 foot on Vanderbilt's roster this year, he came in at 5'9" and 7/8 of an inch. And
he is not taller than me. I know that.
People ripped him apart on social media for that. Is it fair play to put yourself up to 6 foot? Does he deserve the criticism?
Well, he had the cleats that were like thicker, right? Yeah. In case he was playing in the snow. Is that how that works?
It snows a lot down there.
Yeah, so he had
you get measured. No, when you're measured when you're measured at school, you're supposed to be measured barefoot.
Right, barefoot.
So he was trying to do. It's like I have a picture with Drew Brees that at the ESPN cafeteria.
Okay.
Took a picture with Drew Brees. I'm in dress shoes. Drew Brees is in athleisure shoes or whatever. Drew Brees is not taller than me. Drew Brees is listed at 6 foot something. I'm not 6 foot. Drew Brees in the picture is not taller than me. That's all I'm going to say. He's not 6 foot. But he was listed at 6 foot his whole career. What is it about people having to say they're taller than they are?
Oh, come on.
No, Connor, I don't understand.
Just look at dating profiles.
Yeah, but everybody does it.
No, You're Drew freaking Brees.
So
You're
he wants to be taller.
You're a Super Bowl champion. You're filthy rich.
Unless you're going to get your knees broken and have that surgery where they make you like 6 inches taller.
Why do you need to say you're taller than you are? Who cares?
Yeah, height is power, baby.
The funny thing is, I can say I'm 6 foot, and then I can go to a college and get measured, and they go, well, you're not 6 foot.
But Connor, height is power. Not if you don't have it. Not if you're lying about it.
Well, that perception can be reality.
No,
Listen,
it can't be because the girl's going to meet you and go,
it's
you're
not
not
just
6
about
foot.
girls. This is about sports. But at the same time, listen, as a guy who was listed as 6 foot on the Washington College baseball
you aren't
roster,
6 foot.
5'11" and change.
You're not 6 foot.
Close enough is a good rule to go by. All right, we'll round out with this one. This actual height is something measurable. 1,700 feet. That is the height of Taipei 101, the skyscraper that was climbed by Alex Honnold. Did you guys see this?
I did not watch it, but I knew of it.
I stopped watching it because it was making me anxious.
Made a lot of people anxious. He free soloed the side of a skyscraper, which is no ropes, no harness or anything like that. Now, the reason people are losing their minds, he only made $500,000. He did that live on Netflix.
For $500,000.
And people say that's an underpayment. Now, there's an argument. Should he have done it for just the love of the game? Do you like climbing that much?
Well, he
or
clearly
did he
does.
deserve more?
He clearly loves it. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't think there's markets. You know how like Bo Bichette got paid? There's like markets in baseball. I don't know what the market for climbing is.
Or Faces of Death. There used to be. Have you ever seen the Faces of Death movies? If you haven't.
Now, he does it to your point, for the love of the game. He got paid for it. But like, I know the guys that climb to the top of like the towers that have the blinking lights for airplanes, they get paid a bunch of money, but they're doing it for a job. Like, it's like the companies have to pay somebody
I'm not doing
to do that.
I got nervous watching that, Connor, and had to stop watching it.
Yeah, people are just pointing out, like, Jake Paul made like $93 million for his last fight, and this dude is literally risking his life on live television and getting $500,000.
Yeah, and Jake Paul's fights are all real. Well, the last one was because he broke his jaw.
Yeah, sometimes they're real.
Yeah, so
first couple weren't.
Bit of an underpay there for Honnold.
Because everyone thought Mike Tyson was all of a sudden going to be Mike Tyson in his prime. That was ridiculous.
That wasn't scripted at all.
No, of course not.
Please.
All right. Amy Fadul. It is a Tuesday. Tuesdays with Amy. She's ready to go. She joins us for the remainder of the show. We'll reset our topics. What the hell happened yesterday in Philadelphia sports? Are you getting concerned about the vacant offensive coordinator position? And the Phillies were a kid in a toy store. They saw the first thing they saw with their eyes, and they said, we want that. And then the rest of the offseason played out. It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A day to forget for Philadelphia. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a rough snow day for Philly sports. Sixers, Flyers both getting blown out. Sixers, it was 130-93, the final score down in Charlotte. They shot 57% from the floor. No, not the Sixers, the Hornets, as the Sixers defense was essentially non-existent. They'll host the Bucks tonight at 8 p.m. Can't be worse, right? You can hear that game live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Flyers weren't much better. They got shut out in a 4-0 loss to the Islanders.
Siplikov, a man in front, they score. It's Pancho with his second of the game. J.G. Pancho's got his 10th of the season, and the Islanders take a 4-0 lead over the Flyers here late in the third.
That call from Tim Saunders right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Ilya Sorokin, who was in net for the Islanders, has always seemed to have the Flyers number. He was spectacular. The Flyers are off tonight. Eagles had another development in their offensive coordinator search yesterday, not in the positive way. Diana Rossini reporting Declan Doyle has withdrawn his name from consideration. He'll head back to Chicago as the OC. Mike Kafka taking his name out as well. Amy Fadul, she's not taking her name out of consideration for joining us up next. She'll be with us for the remainder of the show. Tony Jones of The Athletic joins us at 9:05 to talk some Sixers. This update is brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MADD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MADD-HELP or visit MADD.org. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Fanatic.
It is 8 a.m. on this Tuesday morning here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic, and it is Tuesdays with Amy, Fridays with Fadul, Tuesdays with Amy. We may call it differently each day of the week,
Yeah,
but
we'll figure it out.
you're the same person. Hello, Amy. Good
Hi,
morning.
guys. Hi.
Good morning.
Hi, good.
How
What
are
the
the
hell?
roads on the way in, just so people know?
They're okay.
Yeah, they were great.
Some back
They
roads
were
are still
great
a little bit, but
yesterday.
I
back
saw the
roads
guys
were
out there.
not great out
They were
towards
still,
us.
I told
they
you
were
to take
still
76,
plowing.
baby.
I took 76, but just to get there. Yeah, no, they're still out there plowing. Shout out to all the people in all the townships and all the cities plowing out all the roads. They're doing a good job of that.
Amy, we'll get into our Eagles discussion as we always do. We'll bring up the Phillies because they did not re-sign Harrison Bader because they got a good club. Let's just start with current events. What the hell happened yesterday?
Was there a game?
Both teams.
I saw you on TV, so stop lying.
Both teams played.
The
Amy.
game was
Stop lying.
the game for the Sixers was moved up 4 hours. I don't know that they knew that. They thought it started a little bit later.
They were down by 50 at one point. Amy.
Oh, I know. I'm locked in, baby.
You're telling her?
What happened? What happened?
Side note, Shawnee last night. So I get home, I prepare dinner, whatever else, because I was home early, right?
Yeah.
Because Sixers were done early. And comes in.
So were they.
Comes in at one point and he goes, "Mom, did you see the Sixers score?" And I swear I looked at him and went, "What?" He's like, "Did you see this?" I was like, "What do you think I do?" God bless. Child, I was there. I talked about it. You saw. Oh, that's right. It was so bad. I kind of turned it off. I forgot you were there.
Thanks, Mom.
I forgot you were there.
The kid.
If that doesn't sum up the afternoon, I forgot you were there.
We had a snow day.
The
right?
kid is the coolest.
It sums up the
job.
Sixers. It sums up, what happened in the pre and post game. I forgot you were there.
No mom in the classroom of his class has a cooler job than his mom.
That's true.
I'm sure
And
there
he
probably
forgot
is,
what
though.
his mom does.
It was like, that's emblematic of the Sixers game, buddy, though. You're right. I forgot I was there,
Poor
too.
Shawnee.
So
Seriously.
we've talked about this a couple of times, Amy. You can totally understand a plan and still not like it. Like,
Right.
they played tonight. So I knew that Joel Embiid and Paul George weren't going to play one of the two games. And
the most important part is tonight is a what type of game? Is it a local game or is it
a home game?
No, it's
National
a local
game.
It's a
Oh,
national
that's a good
game.
point. That's a
So when you guys were talking about like this load management, that's one of the things that when they did try to curb it, what they were able to pass when they passed their new CBA was that
Sure.
it's a national game, therefore it's a or even if it's not a national game, if it's designated as a marquee game, a marquee matchup, like a Knicks Sixers, a Celtics game, then you're not allowed to rest your stars. So it's a national game tonight.
I can see Adam Silver in his office.
Trying to pencil.
Right.
Like, listen, they've tried. This is their compromise.
No, but you know what? He's looking at the long table. He's going,
What's a marquee game?
hey, screw that little kid that lives in Charlotte that
Yeah.
was excited to see Joel Embiid and Paul George.
Yeah, I don't know
we
if that
need
kid
the
was out.
nation. Yeah, that's true. I don't know how many people were
But he
filling
didn't know
up the
at
seats in
he
Charlotte.
didn't know at the time that the game was going to be at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
That, by the way, was strange to me, too, as a consumer. Like, for fans. I think that's sort of strange for fans to say to fans, we're changing the game time the day before.
I mean,
The people who bought tickets
I
the
think.
day before, that's sort
They
of
probably
hard.
refunded them, I would guess.
Yeah, I would imagine there's some. I mean, I feel
Okay.
like that happens quite a bit. I knew all on the Saturday games, all in the Southeastern Conference for basketball, all those game
Yeah,
times
but not
were
the
moved
day
up.
before you. Oh, they were like usually.
All the games were moved up day before.
Oh, because of the weather.
Like Kentucky's game was, Tennessee's game was, they all were because
It's nasty.
they don't know how to deal with that kind of stuff. Atlanta, the Hawks game yesterday was
Yeah.
what at like 1. So
So, look,
it's pretty normal.
yesterday sucked. Sixers lost by 37. Flyers get shut out 4-0 to the Islanders in a nice test matchup because the Islanders are ahead of the Flyers in the division. Now, look, the Flyers had a great road trip. So it's amazing. You can make the excuse.
They had a great end of the road trip.
We've quoted Doc Rivers a couple times.
I
Today.
don't.
Scheduled loss. Sixers didn't play Embiid and Paul George yesterday. Scheduled loss. Flyers had the
hate
great
that
road
phrase.
trip. They come back. Scheduled loss. Like it's
hate that
unbelievable.
phrase.
I hate it too, but it's kind of like we all knew it, but nobody wants to say it, and it happened unfortunately
I
yesterday.
thought the Sixers would put up a little bit more of a fight. Listen, and I was outside of telling you guys the Hornets are not that bad. They're not that bad. Their record obviously is worse than it is, but they're 4-1 in their last 5. They're 6-5 in their last 11. In their last 10 games, they have one of the highest net ratings defensively and offensively in the NBA, higher than the Thunder on the offense. They're actually number 1 in their last 10 games coming into that one, and certainly last night helped. So they are better. They have their faults, and their faults are that they are sometimes young and dumb.
Yes.
And that's fine. There's sometimes young and dumb is good.
Yeah, it is.
There's nothing wrong with young and dumb, and I mean that in the nicest way.
Not that young anymore.
Yeah, but Con Knippel is a rookie. Obviously, LaMelo Ball's not the oldest guy to walk a plank. Brandon Miller. They have Miles Bridges was their veteran, so to speak, and he's a very talented player. So, they're young and dumb, and sometimes young and dumb works. But for the Sixers to score 93, I think is what's problematic to me. I knew that the Hornets were going to get their shots up, but you just can't come out there and lay that kind of goose egg.
You can't.
It was all straight line drives. There was no rim protection at all.
You can't get outscored 41-22 in the second quarter, go into halftime, and then come out and get outscored 40-15.
You can.
You can. Clearly, you
can.
We
saw the third quarter against the Knicks.
It happened yesterday. So, Amy, we're obviously picking up the pieces from yesterday, but our main talking point today, where we are getting people to text in. So, Connor, have the text line ready. We'll get to it in a second here. Are you starting to worry about the OC search? So we've done every topic.
Yeah.
Who's your guy? Is this an attractive destination? Is this not an attractive destination? If so, why? Now we're reaching the point where McDaniel we know is gone. Dable's still floating out there in like a different universe.
But he said, I'm good.
Yeah. All the young candidates that people were intrigued by are staying put, or they did go to different destinations. Slowick, a guy that Johnny and I were both very intrigued by, goes to Miami. And so you start to think, why aren't they coming here? And so that's why we're asking the question today. Forget whether or not who you want or when you want it. Are you starting to get worried about the offensive coordinator search?
Yeah, we were talking about this at work yesterday, and it was kind of one of those things because someone brought up, that's what's great, and you guys obviously have this here too. When you work with so many people that are also invested in sports, like you just have great back and forth. So there's always the give and take. There's always the devil's advocate. And it was like, well, why isn't anybody interested in this job seemingly? Because some of the guys, most of the guys, half the guys have gone on to become head coaches. Yeah. But the antithesis of that is 2 of the last 3 have gone on to purgatory.
Sure.
We don't know where Kevin Petullo is going to end up, but Brian Johnson's like a quarterbacks coach.
Yep.
So still in the NFL, and still in football. Other guys, you've gone on to be OCs at colleges, which is all still very high level, especially if you're looking at like an Ohio State type of vibe or, like I'm thinking of Chip Kelly. But it's interesting because it's really feast or famine. You're either going to be a head coach or you're probably not going to be one for a little bit. So is that part of the trepidation? Is part of the trepidation that you're not going to be able to put your own stamp on it? How forceful do you have to be? Because we talked with Kevin Nagandi last week about it, and I was just like, all right, in 2023, they were like, you're right. Like this was wrong. We needed someone to come in. The Kellen Moore hire was clearly a pretty high up hire. Yeah. And then he came in and said, I'm going to use some of this stuff, but I'm going to put my own stuff on it. And then you have a completely different scenario. Like, hey, we're going to use everything. Kevin Petullo is just going to use pretty much everything we've got, and he'll put his own tweaks on it. So that you had those two differentiations. So you need a pretty strong candidate for someone to come in and do basically what the Kellen Moore
none of
situation.
them are available anymore.
And that's the thing. So you wonder how big of backbone is this guy going to have if he's coming from college, thankful for the opportunity, and going to tell his head coach who just hired him as boss, now that's a terrible idea. I'm not using that at all. So I'm wondering, is that part of the dynamic that's making people reluctant? I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not in these meetings. I'm not in these interviews.
Talked to somebody yesterday who has a little knowledge of the Zach Robinson's situation that he went to Tampa. And they asked him about the Philly situation, just is there any background on that? And the object being is that if you take the Philly job, Zach Robinson's a guy with a really creative run game sets and setting Bijan Robinson
like
loose
Mike
and things
Daniel.
like that. And if he came here, he inherits Jeff Stoutland, the run game coordinator,
right.
And that was not negotiable.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so at that point,
and that's a hard thing to say. It's not negotiable and argue with that, given the fact that, yes, last year the run game wasn't working as much because their offensive line was injured. We know that. But then you go back to the year before and the year before that. It's like, okay, well.
So the thing is, one of these young guys or one of these bright minds who wants to be an offensive coordinator, we're hearing about no interference. We're hearing about
complete autonomy.
No, that's not true.
That's not complete autonomy when you're being told you've got to keep Jeff Stoutland's in charge of the run game.
Right.
And that to me is really, I think that's a bigger part of limiting this thing. And Jeff Stoutland, as great as he is at what he does, but that's limiting the pool.
Yeah, it seems like it should be more of like a simpatico type of like, okay, yeah, you're in charge of the run game when it comes to the offensive line. But as far as for me playing the calls and the creativity, I'm going to come to you and say, here's what I want to run. What does this look like for your line? You know what I mean? That should be like more of the marriage, but I don't know that that's how it is.
No run game coordinator was reportedly not negotiable.
Right.
That's what I was told.
But it seems like you should have a guy and be like, yeah, all right, this is what I want to run. Here's what my exotic run looks like.
Yeah.
To use a phrase from Mike McDaniel, the exotic run.
I'm sure that potentially you would think that could work. Stoutland's a brilliant man.
Right. Here's what I want it to look like. You tell me what the offensive line is going to need to do and make sure that works. That should be. But I don't. Given the fact that there's been all these interviews and no movement on that front, you're wondering if it does actually look like that. Anyway,
I also wonder this, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. So we played it already. I'll just paraphrase it. We had Steve Weiss on. He does a great job covering the NFL Network back on February 6th of 2025 when we were down at Radio.
A much happier time.
Yes.
And John asked him, like, how do people around the league perceive Nick Sirianni? And it was they don't like him. Then he talked about all the great things about Nick Sirianni, and then he ended the clip by saying, but yeah, people don't like him. And so there's that factor. Do you want to work with somebody that you may not like? Look, Saquon Barkley got paid millions of dollars. That's why he came here. Saquon Barkley admitted, I did not like Nick Sirianni until I got to know him. But he got paid millions of dollars. He got signed as a free agent. Whereas a guy has
we all have bosses that sometimes in our lives that you're like,
he's actually not that bad.
Listen, I thought I didn't like you, but I do.
But this guy has to get hired or like want to work for somebody, and then he'll find out if he likes Sirianni or not. Yeah. And then the other thing is the McClain report from last week or 2 weeks ago about how after 23, Sirianni was almost fired.
Right.
During the bye week of 24, he was almost fired. They win the Super Bowl, but you saw how this year played out. Is there a thought that this guy could be on thin ice, knowing how the coaching carousel worked? Look, there was 10 head coaching vacancies this year. Like, it was crazy. Why do I want to go to a situation where maybe the coach gets fired if I fail, I lose a job because the new head coach might not retain me?
And I'm doing this again.
Or I just sit here like I'm Declan Doyle and I go,
yeah, I'm just going to stay with the
Bears. What if Nick gets fired and there's a head coaching job open?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can look at it two ways, and I will take the devil's advocate side of that second part and be like, well, if I do my job and my offense looks good, but the rest of the team doesn't do well, if Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball much better, if A.J. Brown's stats go up, if Devontae Smith's stats go up, then I've done my job. If the results don't come, that's not on me necessarily. Right. I feel like you could have a somewhat successful offensive campaign and not necessarily win and still be a good coordinator and still get another job. So I don't know that I could necessarily take a job thinking, oh, if it doesn't go right, I'm getting an opportunity. Granted, at this point, we're down to guys that have not been OCs.
Right.
Right? Or you were an OC and it's been a hot minute.
Right, or you're
trying
to get
back
Nagy
into.
and
you
it's
know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So you're just a retread.
Said it again. Stop it.
He said that I can't say it 3 times.
Oh,
it's like what I would ask too is,
I've said it twice now.
It's like Candyman.
Do you think any of these young coordinators, and I just thought hearing you two talk about this, any of these young coordinators you think are saying that maybe Ben Johnson says to him, if you wait till next year, you stay with me for a year, and Sirianni crashes and burns, and they've already talked to you and like you and find you intriguing, that next year you could be the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, you're banking something on
there's an opening.
There's always going to be an opening. Let's be honest. Someone will be fired next year in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. Someone will be fired. I don't have any qualms about saying that. Yeah. There's no way we're going to go all 30-plus games. Yeah, here we are. We're all good now.
Right.
So
sure.
I feel like that you can't take a job banking on them being fired or not fired. I do think the first part of your question does have a little bit more validity for me. I think if I'm in a position where you want my services, I'm going to need to make sure, especially the working relationship that this OC would have with the head coach would need to be at least cordial and respectful.
I mean, people are already saying that Brian Dable and Nick Sirianni could not be on the sideline.
I don't understand how that would work.
It's a jokingly thing, but like at the same time, you could see it.
Now, the weird thing is
that would be odd.
Yeah.
Same conversation I had yesterday with the person said, from what they've heard, Sirianni and him are really cordial. But maybe are people talking about their personality?
Yeah.
I don't think that they're unfriendly towards each other.
That they really got along extremely well.
Yeah, I just feel like if you have very specific ideas, and you would have to have these conversations, and I would think that you would have to have them, thoroughly.
Yeah.
Very specific ideas about what offense you want to run.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
And how much input you are willing to take.
Okay.
I think that's the conversation that you need to have. And maybe I would imagine those conversations, obviously, if you're an offensive coordinator, we all have talked to these guys. Those conversations do happen when they're having these interview process. But yeah, that first part would be like, you have to be able to have a good working relationship.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about like, yeah, you can get through it. You can, but do you really want to
By
get
the way,
through it?
those conversations.
No, that's not the
You don't
job
wanna
you want.
get through
Not
it.
when there's other jobs you can take.
By the way, that conversation may have happened, and that's
I
why
would
all of a
think
sudden it was, hey, it's either Bills or Tennessee. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That
when the
conversation
job
may
was
have
like-
happened.
When the job was either, the Bills, of course you want that head coaching job. You have Josh Allen. Great.
Right, of
Love
course.
that. And a guy like Dable that's an offensive-minded coach, that's going to be great for him. Well, when the other option came up, it was like, or the Titans OC.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Excuse me. Could you run that back again?
Clean slate was what we were being told.
See, I think Cam Ward.
I assume it's just because it's a terrible division.
It's a terrible division. Cam Ward is a clean slate as far as you're not and it's not meant as a slam, but you're going to have to unteach Jalen Hurts things.
Yeah, but if you're a really good OC, shouldn't you be able to mold whatever he's got going forward?
Cam Ward is
I can throw for 400 yards if you
but
wanted
Cam
to.
Ward is considered one of the
See, I'm not. Yeah, that's where
you're not.
I'm not super high on Cam Ward.
See, I do.
You know what? Cam Ward probably should have been in the Pro Bowl, judging from the way that the Pro Bowl votes have gone.
Well, that's
coming your way in the 9 o'clock hour.
Remember though, all the players that didn't say they wanted to go. So there's a lot of players like C.J. Stroud,
like
and
14 of them,
exactly, that all said they weren't going. That's why. That's why you shouldn't have it.
Just
cancel it.
Just
get rid of it.
Cancel it.
Connor, what do we got on the text line? Are people starting to get worried about the OC search?
Yes,
we've had a couple of positive texts. But what do we got?
This is not a positive text. Chris from Harleysville checks in and says, I love Stoutland University, but this past year was terrible offensive line performance. What would it take for the Eagles to decide to move on? While he's a legend, there are other O-lines that have been just as good with great coaches. Can't let someone be a limiting factor like this.
Yeah, my thing is, though, I'm not ready to out Jeff Stoutland after one year.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying to you is, how about not outing, but saying, we're truly going to give someone the autonomy to run their offense.
Sure, that's totally
so Jeff
fine.
Stoutland does not get to be their run game coordinator.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
that'd be fine.
You can have input because your line is running it,
and of course he'll have input. I mean, because
I think it's a very collaborative effort. But when you call it okay, you don't worry about the run game at all. That seems very cut and dry. I don't know that you need a black and white on that kind of stuff.
All right, what else we got?
All right, so Gavin from Freehold checks in, said, have we considered that maybe these potential offensive coordinator hires are withdrawing because they're being told A.J. Brown won't be here next season?
That's another factor. I'm sorry to keep on bringing it up. When we had Shefty on last week, I asked him that, and he was like, no, I don't think that's a factor. I'm like, I completely disagree.
See, I don't believe that the offense coordinators would be saying that, because I would believe that there's many around the NFL that are looking at A.J. Brown and going, yeah, really don't like what I saw this year out of him.
Yeah, but it's not just AJ. It's Lane Johnson and his future.
Yeah, but not like, no, there's other things, but the A.J. Brown's what we're talking about. I don't think that would hold anybody back as A.J. Brown, because I think a lot of people around the NFL would look at A.J. Brown and go, yeah, I don't really like what I saw at A.J. Brown this year.
Now, look, Brian Dable wants to go to Tennessee and name me the weapon that you like. Right, there's
That's what I mean.
You're married DK.
But there's blank slate. There's blank slate with a quarterback that is considered to be one of the best young men you could work with, and no pressure with a coach that he's going to work with who's going to give him the total
I think the no pressure thing. It's weird to go from the Bills, where obviously you're under an immense amount of pressure because they think their window is closing, which is why they fired McDermott, and then You go to a job like Tennessee, where I imagine there's zero pressure. Cam Ward is a very nice quarterback. He doesn't have anybody to throw to. There's no one down there that's exciting.
Right.
And your division's bad. So
you got a chance.
You have a great quarterback with nothing else in that garage.
There's not going to be any pressure in Tennessee, at least next year.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any pressure.
Yeah, you get to hang out on Broadway.
Anything you do is going to be considered, wow, look what he's
Go to
done.
Lonnie's Western Wear.
No, I'm more of an Aldean's guy.
All right. So
No.
coming up next,
No.
we'll
That
continue
is
to
offensive.
check our text line
I
at
cannot believe you said that.
610-632-0975.
You've met Connor.
That's
Connor, meet Amy.
Come on.
Also,
Come on.
we got to get your thoughts on the Phillies.
Lonnie's Western Wear, everyone.
Phillies.
Roberts.
Phillies did not get Harrison Bader.
No, they did not.
I don't think they're really in on Harrison Bader.
I'd like to know what happened there. Was it like a call?
Well, Bader said yesterday that the Phillies weren't providing him the opportunity that he was looking for.
Okay, so they did make a call.
Yeah, they probably wanted him to be a fourth outfielder because Dombrowski's obsessed with that. Instead of just getting 3 good guys, it's 4 not so good guys. Your thoughts on that? Also, I am asking people this question, not just us here on the show. I saw something on social media a lot yesterday about a head coach in town, and I just want to know why. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Amy with us, 97.5 The Fanatic.
All right, let me tell you that if you finally decided to pull the trigger and you're going to get that woman a ring this Valentine's Day, you want to make sure that you're at Benari Jewelers in Exton or Newtown Square, and you're taking advantage of Benari's annual Bridal Bash. Mark your calendars. It's now through February the 7th. Benari's Bridal Bash is going to save you cash, and it's going to make sure that she gets the ring that she really wants. What it's saving you cash? With 12 months financing on engagement rings and wedding bands, and something really, really cool. Your chance to win $1,000. Benari is the area's diamond experts. And a reminder for you, all the top designers that she loves from her Instagram and Pinterest dream board, well, they've got them all. They've also got every style, every size, and every setting that she could potentially want. Does she want yellow gold, white gold, rose gold? Just figure that out. Even platinum, they've got it. And during Benari's Bridal Bash, they're going to make sure you save more, and they even give you 1 year to finance based on approval. Benari's Bridal Bash is the opportunity of a lifetime for you. Well, look, it's a question of a lifetime you're asking her, so why don't you save? Now through February 7th at their 2 locations in Exton and Newtown Square. They're the best. It's Benari Jewelers. Find out more about the Bridal Bash at BenariJewelers.com, but go visit them. Their staff is going to treat you like a king, and then she will be your queen.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
2 tough losses. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a rough snow day in Philadelphia yesterday. Not just the weather, but the Sixers and Flyers both getting blown out. The Sixers went down to Charlotte, and they promptly got bounced 130-93. My goodness.
They're up by 37, final 15 seconds. Jabari Walker going at Kalkbrenner, who knocks it away, and that'll do it. Final score here, Charlotte 130, the Sixers 93. Wow.
That wow from Tom McGinnis there is all you needed to hear. That call here on 97.5. The Fanatic. Charlotte went 57% from the floor. Man, Sixers defense non-existent yesterday. They host the Bucks tonight at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers weren't much better. They got shut out. 4-0 loss to the Islanders. Ilya Sorokin, who always seems to have the Flyers number, was spectacular in net for New York. The Flyers are off tonight. Eagles had another development in their offensive coordinator search yesterday. Not a great one. According to a report from Diana Rossini, Declan Doyle has withdrawn his name from consideration. He'll head back to Chicago as their offensive coordinator. Mike Kafka pulled his name out as well. Amy stays with the guys for the remainder of the show. Tony Jones of The Athletic joins us at 9:05. Talk some more Sixers hoops. This update's brought to you by Barbera's on the Boulevard. New year, new car. Cherokees and more Cherokees. $199 down, $199 a month. Is Barbera the best? Boy, I guess. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5 The Fanatic.
It is 8:30 on this Tuesday morning. Tuesdays with Amy. Amy with us for the remainder of the show today. Our main topic for you, are you starting to get worried about the offensive coordinator search? Because I think we're all asking ourselves the same question. Why is this still going on? Why do people keep withdrawing their name from the consideration? And why, considering this is a successful organization? So is there stuff that we just don't know about? Whenever somebody does get hired, will there be a Tim McManus article or a Jeff McClain article about what went wrong with some of the other candidates? So are you starting to worry about the OC search? You can continue to climb in 610-632-0975 text line or phone line. But two other things to discuss this segment. Amy, we talked about it earlier. Curious to get your thoughts. So Harrison Bader signed a 2-year, $20 million deal with the San Francisco Giants. I know he joined, I think it might have been the Foul Territory Network. I forget who it was.
John Heyman, I think I saw him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he
Somebody
said,
else.
they basically asked him, what went down and why not Philadelphia, because we know that was
He
rumored.
praised Philadelphia for the
did.
first 20 minutes of the
Loves the
podcast.
fans, all that kind of stuff. And they're like, all right, so why aren't you back? And he said, well, they can't offer me the same thing that San Francisco offers me. And it's not years, it's not money. It seems like it's playing time. And I see Greg on our YouTube chat saying Harrison Bader wanted to be an everyday player. That could have still happened.
So why couldn't he be one here?
Do you think they offered him 2 years?
That's
Like that?
what I wonder. That's what I
I
wonder.
imagine there was some difference on that front. I don't know how great of a difference it was. I imagine there was a little bit of difference.
A 1-year full prove-it deal. Was the second half real?
Yeah, that's what I would guess. But that's just my guess, because a 2-year, they don't offer him. What was this verbiage was like? They didn't offer me, what the scenario I wanted.
Yeah, what I wanted.
I think that it's probably has a combination of scenario of like, hey, I'd like to play every day. You know that I'm pretty good out there. You saw me, and I want more than a single year.
Yeah, and look, I would have done it because I would pencil him in every day, wherever in the batting order. Go ahead, you tell me. Center field is led by Harrison Bader. And there's somebody probably listening right now that didn't listen earlier and said, well, they got Justin Crawford. It's been talked about by people that are much smarter than we when it comes to baseball people. Phillies people, not just some scout guy that lives in San Diego. We're talking about the Phillies organization started playing him in left field last year because there's thoughts maybe in the long run he'll end up being a left fielder. He's not going to be a center fielder. So if you could pencil in every day your outfield of Crawford in left, Bader in center, and then you want to platoon Garcia and Marsh, because we can't get rid of Brandon Marsh. You need him. So you have that in right field, and then I go, all right, let's see. Does the reclamation project of Adalis Garcia work? You're still letting the guys that want to play every day play every single day.
I think my issue or my proposition for Bader would have been like, here's 1 year, $15 million. You up the money.
Sure.
You give him the one still, because I think that was like a prove it thing. Let's see if that second half was actually like real, right? Because he did kind of come on, I thought pretty strong.
So you're upping the money on the 1 year.
I would up the money to get him for the 1 year and then make him the everyday guy.
Okay, and then
that way
you're getting the most out of his prove it year too.
That's what I would have. I don't even know if he would have done that. If someone came in and said, we got 2 years for you, does he just want the security of 2 years? I don't know. That was something that we would have to ask him, and we would have to find out from David Dombrowski what they did offer him, because I'm sure there was an offer.
Right.
He said that there was. It just wasn't something that he was interested in. It was not the scenario that he was interested in.
But everybody that covers the Phillies, I saw Zalecki tweeted out too, like, we've been talking. They have a great podcast. It's Todd, it's Rube, and it's Jim Salisbury.
Yes.
And he basically said, look, we've been saying on the podcast that he's not coming back.
Yeah.
Why though? Like why? Like,
but why? Yeah,
that's my.
It was like as soon as he tweeted his Bader social media out, I think it was Instagram, like, hey, thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, yeah, he's not coming.
But why? Like the outfield sucks. I'm sorry. I'll say it again.
There's no pop in the outfield.
Very stern with my belief of this outfield. I know, by the way, it's been this way for a couple of years now. I've been talking about the outfield in this way. So why? Like, why couldn't it have happened?
I also just think people think Harrison Bader is a player he's not. I really don't.
I think he endeared himself in ways, it's like Brandon Marsh. Like, people like him a lot. They like him. San Francisco's going to love him.
Yeah, but you know what? He's not stale. Like, the difference with him and Brandon Marsh is, the Marsh thing's been here, right? At least Bader brought an energy to a clubhouse that desperately needed it. It was to say they were country club guys. Just like, all right, let's go to work today. Like, no, they needed something, and they got a guy that provided some spark. And no, Connor, I don't think he's the 330 hitter that he was in the second half. I'm the first person to tell you that.
But you went and gave $10 million to Garcia, who was a declining asset for 3 straight seasons. I mean,
Well,
it's
2.
3 seasons ago.
3 seasons ago, he was ALCS MVP and won the World Series.
No, he was good in the ALCS. He was. Yeah,
He had a monster year that year.
He was very good.
30 bombs.
Yes,
And
and then
look,
boom.
I understand the thought that maybe in this ballpark, because Rangers Stadium, the Texas Stadium, is not hitter friendly. And the fact that he hit 30,
Cavernous stadium.
fact that he hit 30 bombs,
Sure.
Yeah.
very impressive.
Do you know how many other teams from MLB Network that were in on Adolis Garcia when the Phillies signed him? No other teams were listed as being in on Adolis Garcia.
It was also very early. He took
Yes,
I
the
think
Phillies jumped. No other teams were listed as being in on Adolis Garcia.
Yeah, I'm not out on. And
I'm not out on
I
him.
believe he pronounces it Adolis Garcia now.
Is that what we're
it'll
doing?
change.
That's what he said.
Ron Hare.
Oh, I was like, what?
Ojimo,
First of all, you're Mr.
Ojomo.
Rager, so we all know your name is not even Ron Hare.
Yeah.
But Garcia, I was okay with that. I was like, here's a flyer on a guy. You're going to platoon him anyway. Go for it. I think the other question.
But they're not platooning.
They should.
He's
Better
playing
platoon him.
every day.
I'll tell you this. Amy Fadul for GM would actually make me a lot more interested.
See, this is what we need.
But the debater thing to me, it just comes down to this. Like, you look at his 162 average, his per 162 game average. He is incredibly comparable, numbers-wise, to Brandon Marsh.
Okay, then why were you
Incredibly.
so excited when they made the trade for him?
For Bader?
Yeah.
Because they needed outfield
I
help.
w-
And in
I
a
would
short
say I-
sample
I
size.
was not-
outfield help?
I was not.
Because Brandon Marsh
I was
isn't
wrong.
good enough.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I remember how
okay,
excited
so
people were
just-
when they traded for
That's
him.
the point, John. If Brandon Marsh isn't good enough, but we're going to throw a fit because we didn't re-sign right-handed Brandon Marsh, what are we doing
But he
here?
was good enough when he got here.
He had a great stretch. A lot of people didn't expect that. It worked out
I
well.
will say that Brandon Marsh closed out very strong.
Yeah, he closed out.
He
So
did.
did Bader.
He had a good.
So
he had a good like 2.5 months.
I mean,
Brandon
honestly,
Marsh. He did. But
to
you can't-
finish where he did, to start where he did,
Yeah.
is actually pretty remarkable.
Is there
His
an-
July and August are, pretty insane.
Is there any doubt in your mind though that you're going to get
No, it comes back to the mean.
2.5 month stretch out of Brandon Marsh this year where he's that player again, where he goes down to being the player where you go, well, that's where you.
I
always
think, he's going to come back to the mean, but I agree that I think Bader is that guy. I think the extra thing that Bader gave you was what Andrew was talking about. He gave you a little lift. They all love being here. It is a great clubhouse. They talk about the leadership that's in that clubhouse between Harper and Real Muto and Kyle Schwarber, and they love Rob Thompson. I mean, he literally was effusive with his praise over the players that he played with. It's the most fun city. It was the best clubhouse he's been in, and with the best staff. He loved it. So I'm wondering, couldn't you made that work?
With
the guy
100
loved it here.
with 100% certainty across baseball insiders, baseball people, Brandon Marsh and Harrison Bader are not looked at the same. Bader is looked at as a bigger commodity. No. Bader is a guy who, if Brandon Marsh was in free agency right now, he isn't getting that. Brandon Marsh is not getting the interest at a trade deadline. They couldn't. He has no interest.
Here's my thing between those two guys. Brandon Marsh has shown that he can't play center field, right? So I'm going into a year where the guy that's going to play center field, I'm all for it. I'm okay with Crawford being your everyday center fielder. But a guy that people are saying will translate to being a left fielder, I'm going into another season not really sure about my center field spot, which we just talked about it not that long ago. We haven't been sure about center field since Shane Victorino.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago, people.
Yep.
But here's the thing. We weren't sure last year. And Harrison Bader, if he's going to hit 240, isn't like the savior offensively. So what's going to happen is if Crawford doesn't work in center at the deadline, they're going to make another move for somebody.
Yeah.
They have the ability to do that, and they will be in the same place they were last year in the regular season.
It's going to be fun.
They won 96 games. The problem's the postseason. It's not getting to the trade deadline.
It's just the postseason.
Yeah.
Remember, Bob Nightingale told us that last
What
week.
did Bader do in the
it's just the
postseason?
it's
Yes.
just the postseason that has been a disappointment for the Phillies. That's a pretty big jump.
That's all that matters, right?
Other than the shooting, Mrs.
I just
Lincoln.
I still
How was
can't
the play?
I can't believe he said that.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just-
it's
I respect his work a lot.
I
I
get
can't
what
believe
you.
he's-
I get
why?
what he's saying. He's like, other than that, it's like,
You know why? Because he's saying what he's being said. Because he's got a great contact and he's saying what he's being.
I mean, it's true. It's just you can't frame it like that.
No, you can't.
Other than the postseason,
Other than the
Other than the
postseason.
most meaningful time.
I have a Nick Nurse related question that I'll save for the next segment. But what do we got on the text line, Connor? Any Phillies text coming in today, or is it mainly just our OC discussion?
No, we have some Philly stuff coming in as well.
All right, what we got?
Joe the Cynic checks in, says the Phillies have zero direction, zero foresight. Who is the insurance policy if or when Wheeler has a setback? Still no power in the lineup. They make it impossible to be optimistic.
Yeah, it's the same story. There's no pop. Unless Garcia does have the resurgence season. Where's it coming from?
Well, Bryce Harper, if he has a Bryce Harper
I
year.
mean, we're talking about the outfield.
Kyle
but
Schwarber led the National League in home runs.
I think there's some pop elsewhere. The outfield to have, at one point last year, I think it was after the All-Star break, you were looking at like,
Didn't they have the worst slugging in baseball?
It was like 20 total home runs. It was awful.
I think it was at one point the worst slugging outfield in Major League
At one
Baseball.
point, I think they only had like 16 home runs. And
It's
that
the
was like
same
right around
league
halfway
that has
point.
the Rockies and the White Sox in it.
Yeah.
And the Phillies had the worst slugging outfield. And because they won 96 games, Dave Dombrowski talked himself into thinking this is good enough.
Well, he's talking himself into Adolis Garcia as well. And that's a big bet to make, but we'll see.
He does the same things over and over again, bringing in these dollar store guys and going, yeah, but you know what? They're going to bounce back.
The only difference is he's from the right
bounce
side.
back.
At least they have a right-handed bat.
I mean, that is a positive.
They ignored that last year. I still Rob Thompson
When
after
he's-
the season
I know.
ended. You know, the lineup's a little left-handed heavy. I'm like, brother, I've been
Yeah,
saying
is
that
it?
for 4 years, and I do this. I get
Is
paid
that
much.
right?
I get
Is
paid
that
much
true?
less money than you do.
I don't remember that.
God, you platoon with two bad players.
Oh, my
right.
gosh.
Lefty.
So yesterday, there was a lot of fire Nick Nurse on the timeline. Why? Let's discuss that next. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
The Fanatic's Andrew DiCecco, Inside the Birds' Jeff Mosher, and ESPN's Tim McMahon. now.
8:47. Sorry, Radio Man.
There we go.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Amy with us for the remainder of the show. All right, so I saw it a lot on social media yesterday from Sixers fans that wanted Nick Nurse fired.
Oh, my gosh.
I've seen quite a few.
And it wasn't just because of yesterday. Yesterday was such a bad game that their voices were a little bit louder, and I'm sure the algorithm, because it was nothing but ripping the Sixers, deservedly so, a lot of the Nick Nurse stuff started. Like, I saw a tweet of, "We all know that you want Nick Nurse fired. Just tell us why." And there was a ton of responses.
That's an interesting way to word that.
And I'm like, who wants this? But there are a lot of people that want it. And look, I'm not trying to sit here and defend a millionaire because he makes a lot of money. He gets paid handsomely. He's got the Nick Nurse hat, line. Like he
doesn't wear those right now.
Doesn't wear them. Good. The guy's a successful head coach with the Toronto Raptors, wins the championship. Say what you want about it being quiet and all that kind of stuff. But here in Philadelphia, when has he really had the opportunity to coach the Sixers? And I mean the Sixers, not the Blue Coats that play for Philadelphia.
Right.
I'm talking about
whatever
the
last
Philadelphia
year was.
76ers. When has he had that opportunity?
Yeah, so I have a notebook that I keep every season. I write down each game in it. It's like an old school spiral bound single subject notebook.
Do you keep them?
Last year's I did not.
Yeah, that was
actually
fired.
Side note. So I made this I can't remember if it was on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, like a video of hey, out with the old, and I threw it away, and people saw me throwing it away. It was part of the video or whatever, and I got more replies about I can't believe you threw it away. It's like, you can't believe I threw a notebook away that documented a 24-win season. Stop it, people. The internet is for that. My memory is for that. My PTSD is for that. But so
therapy is
exactly wine. That's what that's for. So I have a record of, and I believe they just now are at 7-7. I can't remember because they didn't play yesterday, of games where the big three played. They started off 0-4 because they were all in minutes restriction. Not all, but Joel was on a minutes restriction. PG was on a minutes restriction. So in the games where he has his full complement minus minutes restrictions, they're doing exceptionally well. Joel Embiid has a streak of 15 straight games, scoring 20. His last 4, he scored 30. So I take more about what he did in those games and how those games look. But I think people were pretty irate after the Knicks game. And that's where I first started seeing some of these, we got to get a new coach type of vibe. I'm like, okay, I mean, that's one game and whatever. I don't know why it came after yesterday's game when you're dealing with they finally figured out how to win without Joel Embiid to start the season, right? They won games without Joel Embiid to start the season. And then they got used to playing with him, and now it's like, oh.
Yeah.
What do we do now? It's going to be a problem going forward. It always has been. I feel like they can manage it a little bit better than 130.
Yeah, look, yesterday was embarrassing, but was it to me, was
it a fireable game?
I mean, is it on Nick Nurse that Tyrese Maxey was a bricklayer? The Bricklayers
3 for 12.
He was horrible yesterday.
Not on him.
And the
the lowest total.
And the team
averages.
The team was
34.
just running in mud. I mean, they were it just was a bad. I'm not putting that on Nick Nurse. What is he supposed to? The people think that there's
it's like when they wanted Charlie Manuel fired, after 2011, whenever they won 100 games, he should be okay. Do you want
a Hoosier speech?
You need him to tell the guys you should take a few. You don't need to swing at every single pitch. I mean, he does that, but he can't go up there and swing the bat for them.
Nope.
Right.
Can't do it.
Or not swing the bat in that case.
Nick Nurse's time. Nick last year didn't count. I'll just say
my notebook's gone. Didn't count.
For people that were trying to break down Nick Nurse's coaching strategies last year, you're wasting your time.
You guys aren't even in the league.
year one was the 23-24 season, and of course year two is this year. To your point, when you actually play the guys, the big three. 23-24, I was happy. I was not happy during the Knicks series.
Right.
You can't have Josh Hart get 17 offensive rebounds and literally have no idea how to stop it.
Right.
I was extremely disappointed with Nick Nurse in that series. But other than that, I can't. I'm looking for things to be angry at this point. If you're blaming Nick Nurse,
if you truly look at the way that the games are, and I feel like there's some people out there and they have a little bit more substance to their messages as far as I want a new coach because, and they'll have some things. They take kind of a little bit of extra when they think, oh, he's not that good of an in-game coach. I would disagree with that. I think there's some strategies that he tries to implement that don't necessarily work because of personnel issues. He has to manage minutes better. That's something that all NBA coaches have to do, and I think that they're still working on that. I know we're halfway through the season, but Tyrese Maxey, aside from yesterday, plays 40 minutes almost a game. He's the league leader, and it's not even close. You're going to need to give that guy some rest. I know he's young. He's 25. He's not going to want to take a play off, but you want him in April. Just as much as you want Joel Embiid healthy in April, you want Tyrese Maxey still playing the way he is in April. And I don't know that 40 minutes. But the problem is, what do you do in the non-Maxey minutes?
Well, here's the problem. They're 3 games over 500. So, they need to win games still. Yeah. And so he's going to say, my best way of winning is with Tyrese Maxey. Now, I'm curious just to get your thoughts on it because I looked for one little bit of positivity because it was a horrible day.
You found some.
Both teams sucked.
Tell me.
I'm not going to overreact to one game, but it was nice to see McCain look like a basketball player yesterday.
Yes, so he started out the game. We thought, well, this is got to be
airball.
He's got to get in this game, and then he airballed the 3, and I was like, come on, Jared.
This is horrible.
Don't do this. 0 for 2 from 3 to start the first 3 quarters, and then 4 for 6 the final quarter. Granted, there wasn't anybody still playing for the Hornets that's a starter.
Right, they were done. Yeah.
But I don't, for what I needed to see, I think for him, seeing the ball go through the hoop is a huge, exactly.
Yeah.
A nice little swish. I think that's a huge boost for him. I think it's something that hopefully can carry over because he has been a non-factor for a guy that started off like gangbusters. Mm-hmm. Had that streak of 20 games where he's scoring 20 points. He was the proverbial favorite for Rookie of the Year, and then a devastating injury, and then an injury right before the season started. That is really tough. He has such a positive attitude. You see him on the bench. He's always involved. He's a great guy. He's always out there shooting. Teammates love him. You just want him to do well. I think you can't look at that team and think, I don't care about, you want him to do well. You can't not root for him. So it was good to see. I just want him he needs more playing time, but he just can't get it right now. He can't get it.
I'm so glad that you agree with the playing time thing because every time I say it on the show, I get grief from a couple. There are 2 emailers, big Sixer fans, and I appreciate them listening, but they give me grief all the time going, are you going to keep beating the drum about Maxey and the minutes? And I'm like, yes. If I'm constantly being told that NBA players can't play this much, limit the minutes on Maxey. He's showing the wear and tear in late January.
But who are you putting in for him?
Yes, you still have to. You cannot run him into the ground.
Averages 30 points a game.
VJ will just play 45 minutes
but
that night.
Which is fine.
You cannot run him into the ground.
I do worry about that a little bit.
I'm worried about it.
What the hell happened yesterday? We speak with Tony Jones, does a tremendous job covering these Sixers. We'll get his thoughts. And, of course, the trade deadline's coming up. Will it be a quiet one? I sure hope so. If anything, I think the Sixers just try to get under that tax. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
An 0 for 2 Monday. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a rough Monday here in Philadelphia. The Sixers, Flyers both getting blown out in their games. For the Sixers, it was a trip down to Charlotte, which ended with a 130-93 loss. The Hornets shot 57% from the floor. The Sixers defense essentially non-existent in that one. They're back on the floor tonight, back home, taking on the Bucks at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Flyers weren't much better. They got shut out in a 4-0 loss to the Islanders.
Siplikov, a man in front, they score. It's Pancho with his 2nd of the game. J.G. Pancho's got his 10th of the season, and the Islanders take a 4-0 lead over the Flyers here late in the 3rd.
That call by Tim Saunders here on The Fanatic. Ilya Sorokin, who was in net for the Islanders, seems to have the Flyers number all the time. He did again last night, forcing that shutout. The Flyers are off this evening. The Eagles had another development in their offensive coordinator search. Declan Doyle has withdrawn his name from consideration, according to a report from Diana Rossini. He'll head back to Chicago to be their OC. Mike Kafka also pulled his name out. We'll talk to Tony Jones of The Athletic coming up at 9:05 for his thoughts on the Sixers this season, and yesterday was a rough one. This update's brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MADD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MADD-HELP or visit MADD.org. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5 The Fanatic.
Earlier today on Kincade and Salciunas.
We're not doing Positivity Tuesday, for fair warning, because what the hell happened yesterday for our winter teams, Johnny? What the hell happened?
It was a bad day.
Like, horrific.
What did I expected with one of them, and I should have expected with the other.
We also have more people pulling themselves out of consideration for the Eagles offensive coordinator position. There is intrigue, but then there's also questions, I'll say instead of concerns, questions about the quarterback, questions about the head coach that you'd be working for, questions about the organization that's very hands-on, questions about how much we care here in this city. And oh, by the way, I mentioned the two coaches that got promoted to be head coaches. I could also talk about the two offensive coordinators that got fired after a year. So for all the there's great reasons why, are you getting worried about it?
You know I am. And my opinion is shifting because it's clear there is some sort of a blockade to the job. The blockade is the head coach and the organizational blockades that they have put into place where you must assume this offensive line coach, you must assume this philosophy, you must come in here and live by this is what we want. Now come on in and run your offense, but you're going to run your offense in here. Let me fit you for this straitjacket. That is what they're asking people to do. But one thing that I am absolutely convinced is that it is not the quarterback.
Now back to the show.
Just another day in Philadelphia sports, reacting to two losses from our winter teams and wondering what the hell is going on with the offensive coordinator position. It is Kincade and Salciunas here on this Tuesday morning. Amy Fadul with us in studio for the remainder of the show. We'll speak with Tony Jones, who covers the Sixers for The Athletic, coming up in a few minutes at 9:05 to try to figure out what the hell went wrong with the Sixers yesterday. But, of course, the upcoming NBA trade deadline, will it be a quiet one, which I kind of hope for. But the offensive coordinator position has been the main talking point today because it's another day where we are reacting to names no longer in consideration. Declan Doyle, the most recent, the 30-year-old offensive coordinator with the Chicago Bears, doesn't call plays because Ben Johnson is the head coach. So there was talks that he could make that lateral move by title, but be a play caller for a team, and that team could have been the Philadelphia Eagles. And so now we're just trying to figure out, all right, what's the deal, guys? Like, are you worried about this? Are you starting to get concerned? And as I said yesterday, John, I'll say it again, it's pissing me off that it's taking this long. I'm glad that it is, right? I'm glad that they're doing a thorough,
make that clear. Good job.
But last year, there's no candidates. We won the Super Bowl, so because of the date of the calendar, there's no candidates. We're getting close to the date they won the Super Bowl. We're getting close to the anniversary of the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
And we don't have a coordinator.
And that's where last year's talking point and everybody who parroted it
a lot of people
was
did.
Absolutely off base. You could have looked at any one of the candidates for the most part that they're looking at this year. You could have talked to last year, but you didn't. You let the bros run the frat house, and you let somebody get promoted, and you peed away the 2025 season because of it.
And that's why we're in this mess now. We are less than 2 weeks away from the anniversary of the Eagles winning Super Bowl 59. And they said it was too late to do an extensive search for an offensive coordinator, and yet we're about to reach that date.
My problem with that is that you say that sentence out loud. So how does that make Kevin Patullo feel? Like I'd be like, oh, so you didn't actually want me. I was here.
Yeah.
The music was off. There was one chair left, and I was the only gentleman, so I just sat in it. You thought, we'll take you.
At least he didn't miss the chair.
I mean, later he did. The chair was apparently on three legs.
Yeah, he sort of did.
He did miss the chair.
It was a
rickety
stool.
chair. Yeah.
Rickety stool.
It's like the chair in here that like no one sits in. We just keep moving it all around.
We both used rickety. That was the word that came to mind.
Rickety. It's like a rickety old man and rickety chair. I don't know how else you would use that adjective.
And we both used it to describe the 2025 Eagles offense.
Well, it was a rickety offense, let's be honest.
I think rickety was too stable for this Eagles offense last year. If we're being honest.
My gosh.
I don't think it was even
full-on
rickety.
failure.
Let's go to Chris in Indiana. Connor, I don't know if you can punch him up because my phone is not working. Chris, you're on Kincade and Salciunas. All right. Maybe not. Maybe we're not going to Chris. Okay, never mind then.
Sorry, Chris.
Anyways, so, I mean, we're trying to figure out what the hell's going on with this offensive coordinator position and why all of a sudden nobody wants to come.
Well, and also, my other issue with that is, like, yes, you went all the way to the end. You won the Super Bowl. You can speed up the process if you really want to interview. We all knew Kellen Moore was gone, right? So you could have probably started that process maybe a week earlier than if you really wanted to. But there are some very interesting candidates that would have been on the table. Like John said, the same ones. If you wanted to go with some young college guys.
Many of them.
If you wanted to go with some of these guys that were the quarterbacks coaches or the passing game coordinators or whatever, those names are all out there. And I feel like you could have still vetted them properly because you had a whole lot of tape to look at. It's odd to me that would have been a sentence to say out loud.
Yeah.
You could have thought that, hey, we're kind of up against it. We'll just go with it. But no, we did our due diligence and we're really happy with Kevin Patullo. That would have been a better sentence instead of we went with this guy because we didn't have enough time.
It's so amazing because we all respect the job that Howie Roseman does running this franchise. Right?
Right.
He's done a spectacular. One of the best in the business, if not the best. But somehow this slipped through the cracks twice in a 3-year period.
I think that it's one of those, there can be a little hubris that comes with winning, and you're thinking, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of vibe. And so we're going to go with somebody that didn't break it, right?
Okay.
They weren't in charge of it.
I got you.
But they didn't break it. So let's just kind of keep the good times rolling.
Now, I wonder, are they worried about history when it comes to the decision that they'll make for the offensive coordinator position? I'll explain more coming up in a little bit. But joining us now to talk about your team, your town, your 37-point loss Philadelphia 76ers. He does a great job covering the Sixers for The Athletic. We've been talking to him a couple of times throughout the season. Our man Tony Jones joins us here on Kincade Salciunas with Amy Fadul. Tony, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys.
Of course, Tony. Let me start by quoting a prophet scheduled loss. That person was named Doc Rivers. Do you believe that's what took place yesterday for the Sixers in that embarrassing loss to Charlotte?
Yes and no. I thought that game was going to be hard to get, just because of the short turnaround, the travel, the way that the game was moved up, and the fact that Charlotte's been playing really well of late. However, I did not think in a million years that they would be down 50 at some point during that game. So yes to one part and no to the other. There's no amount of schedule loss that should cover 50 points.
When you see this team right now and where they're at, if I had taken you back to the middle of October, late October, are you shocked with the journey that they've had? Has this been a far different team than you expected to see at the end of January, or is this pretty much what you expected?
If you had told me at the end of January that Joel Embiid would be playing more like his MVP self than he had since his MVP, and if you had told me that Tyrese Maxey would be playing on an MVP level, and if you had told me that Paul George would be defending like he is. He's not playing offense really well, but he's defending really well. If you had told me that VJ Edgecombe would be objectively the third best rookie in the class, or maybe even the second best rookie in the class, I would tell you that 24 and 21, given how many easy and gettable games that have been on the schedule to this point, would be probably a little soft. I would have been a little bit more aggressive with how many wins that they would have had right now. I think the Sixers are in a dangerous point right now because I think that a lot of the things that have gone right are drying up. And when I say that, I'm pointing to Tyrese Maxey's play, which I think is unsustainable. Was a little bit unsustainable in terms of how many minutes he was playing. And, and the fact that the schedule is turning a lot tougher a lot more difficult right now. So I think that, there have been some positives, but I also think that the Sixers are in a dangerous situation right now.
Yeah, Tony, such a good point because you're looking at this game yesterday against the Hornets, the Bucks, the Pelicans. These are all teams that are coming up right now that are under 500, well under 500 at least. I think they're all at least 8 games under 500. So if you don't get these wins at home, which they've had trouble doing recently, and then you head out west, where the Clippers have won. They're 15-3 in their last 18. The Lakers, these are all the Suns who just got the Sixers. The West is legit. It's tough. It's a tough road trip anytime you go out there. But the thing with these wins at home is so strange to me. It used to be the reverse, and generally it tends to be the reverse. They have a very interested home crowd. They're locked in, and it's almost like an anomaly. And I have people, and I'm sure you have people too, that ask you, like, one, what's up with the home record? And two, what's up with the third quarter? These are almost kind of things you just can't figure out. The third quarter to me is still confounding, but the home wins, you got to get those, especially starting tonight before you head out west.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, a great point that you pointed out. It's something that I tweeted yesterday during the game. They're going to be 24-21 unless they rally from 30 points down in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And, these are the games out west. They're at the Clippers, second night of a back-to-back. They're at the Warriors, third game in 4 nights, trade deadline night. They're at the Lakers. Then they're at the Phoenix Suns, who are playing really well. And then they're at the Portland Trailblazers, who are pretty good at home and who are playing well, and it's at the end of a road trip. Then they come home to face the New York Knicks. Those are your 6 games. Before the end of the first half of the season, before the All-Star break. If the Sixers don't play well, if they do play well, they can end up 3-3. If they don't play well, this is 1-5, 0-6 potential territory, which means they really need to get all 3 of these games this week. They need to get the Bucks tonight. They need to get the Kings on Thursday, and they need to finish that off with the Pelicans on Saturday. The problem is the Sixers haven't played well in a position where they're the team that should win the game. They've lost to the Nets this year. They've been taken to the final possessions at home twice with the Indiana Pacers. They've lost 3 or 4 games where these are really gimme games that they should have won. So I don't know that I trust them to win all 3 of these games. I might trust them more considering what we have in terms of a sample size to play better out west against teams that are playoff teams than to finish this homestand off 3-0. So I think they've wasted a lot of the homestand because they've been home for most of January and they've lost a lot of those games, albeit to good teams. But at the same time, you got to take advantage of the home games when they're there, and the Sixers largely have not done that this year.
All right, Tony, last thing, and I know it's going to be a lot for you to unpack for us, and that's why we have you on. We love having you on. The trade deadline getting closer, February 5th. What are you hearing? What are you expecting? Players leaving Philadelphia and who they could be in the market for?
Well, they've been trying to trade Andre Drummond for 6 months. So, I know that it actually makes me chuckle that there are reports that the Sixers are trying to trade Andre Drummond because it's not a new thing. They've wanted to trade him ever pretty much since the minute that he opted into to the final year of his contract. So Andre Drummond's on the table. It'll be interesting to see whether the Sixers want to buy. I think this is what I think, and this is my opinion. I think that if the opportunity is there to buy, that that opportunity should be taken, because even with everything that we've said, you look at the upside of this team and you look at the fact that they have 2 guys that are playing at an MVP level right now, and you don't know if you're ever going to get this Joel Embiid again. So for me, if this were my money, and it's not, if this were my team and it's not, I would want to give this group a chance to compete at the highest level, as good a chance to compete at the highest level as I can, because there are 2 things that are working for the Sixers right now. Right now, that Joel Embiid is relatively healthy. He's playing at a really, really high level, particularly offensively. And the Eastern Conference is as wide open as I've remembered it in quite a while. So you don't know if you're going to get this set of circumstances with this group to line up in this manner again. So in my opinion, I think the Sixers should take advantage of it if the opportunity is there.
Tony, we appreciate the time, man. Always enjoy having our conversations with you, and I'm sure we'll talk to you post-trade deadline and throughout, hopefully, a long spring for the Sixers.
Thanks, Tom.
Good stuff.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
There's Tony Jones of The Athletic.
I felt a lot better before talking to Tony, though.
Why?
I think Tony's always very honest and very
gives you a
candid. Tony feels a lot worse about where the Sixers are right now than I do.
Yeah.
And he knows so much more about what is like the situation.
Missed opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's it. The thing is, you go back to the beginning of the season, they also won a lot of those close games.
Right.
There was one point where they had the highest as far as like number of clutch games where the score's less than 5 points the last 5 minutes. And they won a good majority of those. Now, unfortunately, they have not won those. Not that yesterday was anything close to that.
Sure.
They were never within 5 unless it was the first 5
And then you had the window of trying to figure out how to play with everybody, and they went 0-4 to start.
But I agree that you don't want some of those games, like the Cavaliers game, the Raptors game, those close games that you lost, the Suns game, even the Knicks game from the weekend where you had that game, then you have an abysmal third quarter. They're one of the best fourth quarter teams. It's because they're one of the worst third quarter teams. Those ones you don't want to come back and bite you because you had moved up in the standings. You're right there. 4, 5, 6, 7 is all really, really close when you look at the standings. So you don't want it to come down to, what was it, a couple of years ago where the Magic got the higher seed because they had a division record that no one can even tell you what the division record was. So you just don't want to leave it to the hands of that. And I think I that's where I took Tony's. I was like, I get it. Would you have been happy at the outset that they're 24-21 and Joel Embiid has played meaningful minutes and is on the streak of 20-plus games? Yeah, you would absolutely would have. But would you have signed up for it knowing that, thinking you probably could have had at least 4 or 5 more wins?
Yeah, right.
I think that's where you go with that.
I think the funny thing...
he seems very worried about Maxey, too.
Yeah, the minutes are going to pile up, absolutely.
I mean, listen, I know the kid can take it. I don't have any doubt about that. It's like, why do we need to make him, though?
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't have to.
I know he can do it. He's done it before,
and
but
with
I
the
just
deadline,
don't need him to.
I mean, he said it best, right? Like, who knows? Maybe lightning strikes, right? And you catch lightning in a bottle, and people stay healthy, and you make some run. Why are people trying to trade Kelly Oubre?
That is a terrible idea.
I've seen it all over social media. I've seen reporters saying that Oubre could be a movable piece because he's a free agent after this year. Okay, then keep him. He's a free agent after this year. Like, why would I trade him just to make the money work or whatever?
Who are you getting back? That would be my question.
Yeah, that's what I would say. And
it better be a really good wing defender that can knock down a three.
Getting anything back for an expiring contract player of Kelly Oubre's status.
At the trade deadline, expiring contracts are always
valuable.
Yes. There's always something that's going to come up because of the way the NBA works with the trades, right? You have to match the money. So there's always, I'll take that guy. The problem with trading, I would not trade Kelly Oubre. I wouldn't. There's a myriad of reasons, but number one is the way that the East is. All these teams are very long, very rangy. He is a guy that is very long, very rangy.
Yeah.
An excellent defender, and he's shooting a three-pointer at the clip that he has not done before. Certainly in a Sixers uniform.
Can score. Sixers don't really have that often from the wing.
Like you guys asked me 2 weeks ago what I would get at the trade deadline. I was like a scoring wing.
Yeah.
I just need more of that. I would not trade one of them away to get one, though.
I'm not subtracting to get.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I want in addition to, not instead of.
Before we had Tony on, I had a thought about, being afraid of history for the Eagles. So from the very beginning, when we were talking about this coaching search, complete autonomy was something that was being floated out there a lot. They also really wanted somebody that's done it before, calling play. At any level, whether it was college or the NFL, they wanted somebody that has called plays before. We are now reaching a point, John and Amy, where the people that have called plays before are no longer available unless it's, I'll say his name for the third time.
Stop.
Matt Nagy, right? Are they so afraid of what went down with Patullo because he had never called plays before? And look, I prefer, at this point, somebody that's done it before. Now,
I do not.
if I have my cake and eat it too, it'd be somebody that's done it and has been successful at it.
At the NFL level?
No, college too.
Okay.
Because they know that on second down there's a play call that needs to be made.
Okay,
They
so
also know that
anybody that's been an
third down,
offensive coordinator.
It's not 2nd and 12. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Let's do a run with Saquon up the middle, because that's what Patullo did. Every time it was 2nd and 12, they ran the football. It's ridiculous. So when I wonder if they're so scared of, man, we can't do another guy that's never done it before.
So they've got two.
Even though those are the commodities right now, so they're stuck in between this rock and a hard place.
Look at the bright. If you go brightest offensive minds in the NFL right now, they all were given their shot, and they all were given their shot for the most part really young. If you're saying Shanahan and McVay, Cohen, who do you want to give me? Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
These guys were given young opportunities to call plays in the NFL. Somebody gave them the shot. Give one of these guys the shot. Do not go, again, to the Andy Reid dollar store.
But are they afraid of...
Don't do it.
Not that Patullo's young.
The one difference is it didn't work out twice, and Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo, but they were already in the system.
Right.
So this would be the one difference.
Sure.
And they were both...
But yeah, I think there's a certain amount of PTSD with that.
Absolutely.
And they were both bro hires. But with Brian
Well, they already
Johnson,
worked
it was the buddy hire.
They already worked there.
Buddy hires.
It was the musical chairs, the rickety musical chair.
Arm bars, baby. Arm bars. All right, coming up next, we all know the term Monday morning quarterback. But it didn't take a genius to hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line in Super Bowl 49. We talked about that play yesterday, and if you remembered where you were, are there coaching decisions made in Philadelphia history that come to mind? We'll discuss that next. Kincade Salciunas, Amy with us, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A rough Monday in Philly. I'm Connor Thomas, and it was a rough snow day yesterday for Philadelphia sports. Sixers, Flyers, both, they got blown out in their games. The Sixers went down to Charlotte, faced the Hornets, who are fourth from the bottom in the Eastern Conference, and promptly lost 130-93.
They're up by 37, final 15 seconds. Jabari Walker going at Kalkbrenner, who knocks it away, and that'll do it. Final score here, Charlotte 130, the Sixers 93. Wow.
That wow is all you need to hear from Tom McGinnis there on the call here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Hornets shot 57% from the floor. Sixers defense essentially non-existent in that one. We'll see if they can be better tonight. Hosting the Bucks, an 8 p.m. tip-off that you can hear right here on The Fanatic. Flyers weren't much better. They got shut out in a 4-0 loss to the Islanders. Ilya Sorokin, who's always played well against the Flyers, he had a spectacular night in net for New York, pitching the shutout. The Flyers are off tonight. The Eagles had another development in their offensive coordinator search yesterday. Declan Doyle, according to a report from Diana Rossini, is withdrawing his name from consideration. He's heading back to Chicago to be the offensive coordinator there. Mike Kafka did as well, so a couple more names seemingly off the board. Amy Fedor remains with the guys for the remainder of the show. This update's brought to you by Uber Eats. Philly, you hungry? Good thing Uber Eats has a great deal waiting for you. Chickies and Pete's from now until February 15th. Spend $30 and get 6 wings free on the app. Order now only on Uber Eats. Terms apply. See app for details. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
guy to produce. Charity comes in many forms. Kincade Salciunas is back from the break. I wonder what they're going to get into.
The final hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
All right, not that anybody cries about the work that we do, because we are thoroughly blessed and we love doing what we do for a living. But during the commercial break, Amy had to do post game of that wonderful Sixers game yesterday. Now you love your job, so you're not complaining about it. But it made me think about, like, I had a horrible post game show one day. So what was to you like the word and how? I gotta say, process out of it.
Oh,
like, was there a day?
Oh, the Raptors.
Okay. The game 7. Okay. So from an emotional standpoint, I meant more so like from a, I don't want to be doing this.
I don't think I've actually ever said that sentence. But yeah, there's stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean come on.
I'll be honest with you.
Rocket science.
I had 2021, the year Jalen's first year, when they beat the Lions, like 44-6 or whatever that score was.
Yes.
Nobody believed in the team, right? Because that was the beginning. That was when Shane Steichen took over play calling, and people were like, this is a disaster. Jalen Hurts stinks, and Nick's going to get fired after year one. And, sometimes you got to fill time.
Yes.
And there was a Flyers game.
Yes.
And when it's 44-6, they're burning clock.
Right.
I had to do a 5.5-hour post-game show.
What?
By myself.
Oh, my gosh.
Because it was COVID time. 5.5 hours. I won't name the producer, but I had a producer for it. That I went 3 hours solo without going to him.
Well, that's crazy. I
did it, and then finally I still have 2.5 hours left. So I go, hey, what did you think?
Hey, fella.
And he goes, good. Not because he was upset, just because he didn't have anything to say.
That wasn't there.
And I was like, oh my God! I just went 3 hours solo.
I told you not to tell that story.
And you gave me good. I started playing. Here's Boston Scott.
That's the thing.
After the game,
they call it play the hits. Play the hits. Now I had obviously you said can't. I have to put the process era in there just because there was a game and I told you guys about it where they got smoked. The Sixers did by the Raptors, and Coach and I did like a 50-minute show. And it got bad during the process era that we had because the games were so fast. We fill until 10 o'clock. We had the 10 o'clock news program, Sportsnet Central, and so we had to fill to then. So you're going from like 9:12 to and there's no post-game interview because they didn't win. So you're having to fill to the top of the hour. So sometimes we would, especially during the later games of the process, we would fill those back, 5 to 7 minutes of like, hey, let's look at some college players, which was great.
Sure.
We had because you couldn't talk about that game. The game had no bearing on what was happening. Everyone was excited about the future. Like we knew it was exactly. Yeah. So like let's break that down. So those are at least when we started kind of making that shift, it was good. But as far as like a game that I was excited to do it, and then when the bounce happened and and I was like, I don't want to do this game. That was the only time I thought like, I don't want to talk about this. I need time. But it was on another network, so we actually go on instantly in those cases. Like as soon as they're done with the broadcast, we're up.
You're on.
And it was like, I have this video, and I'm taking a video because I'm taking a video of like trying to get Coach and Mark excited about it. And I'm like, I think at the end of the video, I go, oh no, and my phone just drops, and they're like, all right, 30 seconds. I'm like, I don't want to be here right now. But it was a great game to talk about. Obviously, there's so much to discuss. That made it so much easier. That hour flew, but that was the only time I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
It would have been so much more fun to talk about a win. But no, I mean, there's rarely times.
That's got to be hard.
There's Phillies games that I'm like, that's a tough one. I don't want to talk about
But those are so you get to play tomorrow.
Right.
Like the Toronto game when you're talking about that
was
one,
it.
it's like that's
the finality of it.
Like when Lazardo gives up 14 runs,
right, exactly.
You're like, oh, man, we got to do a post-game show.
There's a couple ones where they have a position player coming in. I'm like, now this is the one I'm filling in for? Come on.
There is some updated news from the NFL.
Okay.
As far as just from the betting markets.
Oh.
That 2 candidates for head coaching jobs that are interesting have gotten to so low odds it looks like they are going to be hired if you are in the betting markets.
Oh, as a head coach?
Yes.
Okay.
But the strange thing is it applies to where the Eagles are in their offensive coordinator search. Do the Eagles want to go old and dusty and whatever, or do you want to go young and innovative?
Matt Nagy, that's the fourth time I said it.
Davis Webb is the odds-on favorite now all across the Vegas books, -110 or -120.
Oh, wow.
To be the Raiders coach.
Okay.
The Broncos passing game coordinator under, with the Broncos on Sean Payton's staff. He's -110 or -120. He's younger than you and Connor.
Yep.
And he is in line to take that job, -110, -120. Grant Yadinsky, the local guy,
Yes.
is now 1-to-1 odds on all the strip casinos to be the Bills head coach.
Wow.
Huh.
All right, so Joe Brady,
Okay.
come on down. Joe
that's
Brady,
the guy.
But here's what's
our guy.
shocking is that's
if he doesn't take a head
Joe
coaching
Brady.
job somewhere.
Joe Brady has now gone to 12-to-1 odds to be the Bills coach. Like Joe Brady's like plummeted, and Yadinsky is the just hot candidate. Grant Yadinsky also younger than you and Connor.
Yeah. That's what teams love,
I mean, this is where people are like, yeah, do you want to go to the young guy who hasn't had his Look, this is what this is the new guys have the new ideas. And the Eagles asking guys to come in and don't do your thing. Do your thing in a straitjacket. Do your thing
do your thing
within our framework.
Joe Brady would make sense though, because
Joe Brady would work.
Look at what they do on the ground.
Joe Brady would work, but the thing is, again, we are going to ask Joe Brady to come in and do things, but you have to do it.
But bottom line is, I'd sell if we get the alert. The Philadelphia Eagles
Joe
have
Brady
hired
would be
Joe
fine
Brady,
with me.
I would celebrate it.
I would absolutely say, wow. I would go, because Joe Brady doesn't look in line for any of these jobs. Mike LaFleur looks like he's going to get the Arizona job.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the betting odds, it looks like he's -350 now. He looks like he's going to get that job. Joe Brady's 33-1 to get the Arizona job.
Here's what's going to happen.
He's
with
not
Joe
getting
Brady.
it.
He's going to come here. He's going to be a head coach next year. It's going to be Kellen Moore.
And
Because we
Cleveland,
question why did Kellen Moore not get head coaching jobs? Why did he not get head coaching jobs? Joe Brady's been interviewed a lot now.
the overwhelming favorite to get the Cleveland Browns job, and
Jim
it's
Schwartz.
shifted. It is shifted majorly.
Yeah, I saw that last
to
night.
Jim Schwartz.
I root for him. I'm sorry.
No, I like him too, but
I feel like that's already happened.
The
I feel
way
like that's
people talk about him in this city confuses me.
Listen, I think he's a tremendous coordinator.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do too. Yeah,
about a head coach. I feel like that ship has been down that
Yeah, the
path
Aviators,
before.
the almost fight with Harbaugh.
Yeah, but that's some
Listen, a
surprising
tremendous
stuff.
coordinator. There is no doubt about that in my mind. I'll be interested to see.
Cleveland
Also,
needs stability.
if that's
Well, he's
they
been
had
there
one.
a while, and they like him a lot.
Yeah.
And he's
They
very
do
Miles
stability.
Garrett loves him. Yeah.
They love him.
Remember there was the rumor that Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox were both going to follow him to Cleveland. You remember that?
Yeah, I think they were putting that rumor out.
Yeah, probably.
Can you imagine?
I think they were the ones creating that rumor.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I would think that I get the stability, but if you're the Browns, don't you need an offensive coach?
No, but they would get one of the young offensive guys
they
to come
would.
in and run their offense.
To run what offense?
They don't
That's the
need
thing.
one.
Hey, wait, you got a Pro Bowl
I was
quarterback.
about to say they got Pro Bowl
Stop it.
quarterback Shador Sanders.
That hurt my eye. That hurt
you
my
know what,
eye.
though?
You know what hurt my eyeballs more than the Sixers game was seeing Shador Sanders named a Pro Bowler. That's
Yeah.
not it. He has 10 interceptions.
But Andrew and I are both.
no, I root,
follow
I
the
root,
kid.
I
We're
root
rooting
for the
him.
kid, but that's no.
Listen,
I
this
don't
is
believe he's a.
nothing-
He's
this is
a
not an
freaking
indictment
Pro Bowler.
on
I hate
Shador.
the-
It's an indictment on how this Pro Bowl selection
I get you. It's
process
stupid.
goes now.
It's
It's
Shador
nonsense.
Sanders, Tyler Huntley, go
Well, he's
both
like-
Pro Bowlers.
We had 12 people say we're not coming, so he gets invited. It's like,
Stop doing it.
Don't have it.
Stop
period.
it. It's a flag football game.
Yeah.
Stop it.
All
I
right.
feel like that Michael Jordan meme. Stop.
Don't get some help.
Exactly.
So going to the
Get some
break,
help.
we'll spend more time on this in the next segment. But the Super Bowl 49, the decision to not run the football with Marshawn Lynch is in the moment, what are you doing? Like, that's not a hindsight. To me, that's not a Monday morning quarterback. It's what are you doing? It's 2nd and goal on the 1 yard line. You have a timeout. There's 26 seconds left, and you have Marshawn Lynch. So what are you doing? Can you think of other decisions made by a coach where you had the immediate reaction of what are you doing? John, I know you were with the Zach Wheeler decision by Rob Thompson. Like, you had that immediate,
Your last game of the year.
what are you doing?
And by the way, too, and some people, I know it's been written about locally touched on. I've had conversations with people who've told me more about it. Rob Thompson and Zach Wheeler had to have
they talk.
extensive talk about him being pulled out of that game, and I still blame it. I cannot believe that Rob Thompson in the last game of the year was like, no, got to get Zach Wheeler out of this game with nothing. He's never pitching again. The whole season is on the line. He doesn't have to pitch again, and you let the season pee away. I don't get it.
Amy?
I don't get it.
Is there anything that comes to your mind in the moment? You're going, "What are you doing?"
I'll take you back. Young Amy Fadul watching a game with her mother, 1992. Wow. You don't guard the inbounder.
There you go.
You're watching. You're going, "What are you
I'm
doing?"
a child.
And you're a screamer.
I'm a child.
You're a
We were
screamer like
banished
that,
to
right?
my parents' room to watch on a tiny little television
go.
because we were screaming at the main room because that's how this is in 1992. Young little Amy knew you guard the inbounder. You guard the inbounder. You probably guard him with the tallest guy, but you definitely put a human on him. The best is with that.
Put a human on.
Any human, just any human, a dude from
so
the
like
bench.
even my caliber. Like if you put anybody.
I would have taken the guy that's there to spray water in your face. Put someone on him.
Wojo back in the day with the towel.
Great.
Would've
Slap
taken
the
that.
floor. I don't care what you're doing. But yeah, so ironically, there was a play. Kentucky they won a game at LSU, and they did guard the inbounder. And Patino tweeted out like, "Oh, look at that!" Like he can laugh about it.
Yeah.
Huh? But yeah, that's obvious. Everyone sees that.
All right,
Guard the
so
inbounder.
we got
Or
another
foul it up
segment
three.
left. Middays and Marks coming away at 10 o'clock. Text in some immediate answers. YouTube send in some immediate answers. The text line, of course, 610-632-0975. Is there a play in Philadelphia history, or sorry, a decision made by a coach in Philadelphia history where you are saying in real time, what are you doing? Much like the Marshawn Lynch run, the reason why we bring that up, Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl 60, a rematch of Super Bowl 49 with one of the worst calls ever in the history of football, in my opinion. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Amy with us here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Keep it locked into 97.
is 9:47 here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. Hanging out with Amy Fadul, who's with us, Tuesdays with Amy. A very specific one from Neil. If you're just tuning in, Super Bowl 60 is a rematch of Super Bowl 49, Seahawks-Patriots. The in the moment, what are you doing when they don't hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch? Do you remember where you were?
Yeah.
Because John
It's a visceral
John
thing.
was in the stadium.
I was there.
But when I brought this up yesterday, Connor was like, I was watching it, but I don't remember. Like, I remember.
It was so
my
confounding.
surroundings.
Like you could have been at like a Super Bowl party or whatever and glanced over and thought, oh, well, this is obviously a touchdown.
Yeah.
But you're going to give it to Marshawn Lynch. And if you didn't lock in at that moment and you glanced back over, you would have been completely dumbfounded how there was not more points on the board for Seattle. What happened? Did he fumble it? That's what you would have thought.
Interception.
You would have thought, did he fumble it? Because there's no way you thought they were going to throw it. Not a history of the world with someone. And the reasoning behind that have been the explanations have been some of the dumbest sentences ever uttered in a post-game press conference. And that's saying something. The justification for, well, we're trying to. You're trying to what?
Yeah, it was preseason.
That was like. I felt dumber after listening to Pete Carroll. Well, that's what we're trying to do.
We're all dumber having listened to
Horrible.
for having to have to sit through that.
Neil chimes in our YouTube chat, leaving Pedro in the face Hideki.
Oh.
That's a very specific, but sure, I get it, 2009.
How about taking out, what was the pitcher who got taken out? Was it in the Red Sox Yankees?
I don't know.
The pitcher got taken out, or was it Tampa Bay? Tampa took out the pitcher prematurely.
Oh, are you talking about Blake Snell when
Blake
he got
Snell.
yanked?
Oh, yeah, Kevin Cash.
That cost them.
To this day,
That absolutely cost
but
them.
that's an organization that lives and dies by analytics.
Yeah, but at
That's
the
the
end,
Rays,
the end of a year, you need to just take that and chuck it. You need to say it's the end of the year. Okay, we're here already. Now it's done. We got to go. Got to play differently.
I have
man.
a Philadelphia one that drove me
What's
insane
that?
in the
What we
moment.
got?
It doesn't get thought about a lot because Ben Simmons took the majority of the heat for the series. But Doc Rivers having Furkan Korkmaz on Kevin Herter as long as he did in that Game 7 is one of the dumbest things.
great one.
You have Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle, who are both elite-level defenders at the time. And this dude is okay.
Yeah.
No. At
I'll
the
give
time,
you the first one.
Still, he was, I believe, all defensive second team. We know what he turned into. But that season,
steals.
but either way, then Furkan Korkmaz, the guy's killing.
I'm with
I'll
you.
agree with you there.
Speaking of, did you see Joel's Instagram post?
Yeah, that was great.
The Korkmaz
Sorry,
one.
it made me think of
In
it.
case people don't know,
So
Furkan
great.
Korkmaz called Alperen Sengun, the Rocket center, the best center in the league.
He
And
said,
then-
"I thought Joel Embiid was the best center until I played with Alperen Sengun."
Right, and he was saying this in his press conference, not for the NBA, because Korkmaz hasn't been back since.
This was like a year or so ago, and it was after he played with him over in Turkey.
And when Embiid beat Sengun, there was a photo of Embiid staring down
It's just-
Sengun, and
and
all the
just-
caption was Korkmaz.
well, yeah, I think like Sengun was kind of like falling. He was like off kilter, and Joel was getting ready to go right up against him, and it just said "Furk." I thought that was tremendous.
That Hawks series is that could be a local.
the
that could
problem-
be a local 30 for 30.
Yeah, the problem is it kind of started with sentence with Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That one,
Doc Rivers did
that one
this.
pains me more than the Kawhi shot. It does.
Doc Rivers didn't start Tyrese because he was a rookie.
You had
It pains you.
Didn't play him.
You had two leads of 18 or more. One was 18, one was
Celtics
27.
one's gonna
one
stick out
was-
for me.
Game one's where
Yeah.
the series was lost. You blew that lead in game one.
God,
The
what,
Celtics series they had.
what is the most painful series?
Now let's go back,
Let's
shall
not.
we?
Shall-
No, because there's been enough kicks in the groin
There's a
this
lot of
past
them.
couple weeks. I
There's a
mean,
lot
it's
of them.
January. I cannot wait. I honestly, when I saw that, Sunday morning, while Andrew and Connor are in the dunk tank, and Ricky Bowe and I will be broadcasting live from the Flyers Carnival, I was like, wow, this is really, really exciting because we get to turn the calendar to February. I am so glad to see January gone.
All
this is-
175 days of it.
It really is. It seems endless.
longest
This month
month.
sucked.
The
The
weather,
month- it's the longest
the weather, the sports storylines, everything about it has sucked. I want
There
it
has
gone.
not been if we were to rank positive storylines of the month of January.
I got one.
It's almost
Flyers,
over.
Flyers West Coast trip, number one.
Joel Embiid playing 30 minutes.
Yeah,
No,
Tyrese
fuck-
Maxey,
Dunking.
all-star starter.
All-star starter. VJ Edgecombe Rising All-Star. There's a few, but you're
Kevin Petula fired.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
and because of the loss
not say no.
that took place in January.
Yeah, exactly.
This month has sucked. I mean, there was a stretch where nobody was winning. Guys were getting fired. And oh, by the way, it's not like the Phillies have made a splash where you can at least go, at least I'm excited for spring training, pitchers and catchers report. No, they lost Bichette and re-signed JT Realmuto in this month, too.
But they had a Zoom meeting. That was fun.
Isn't that great?
They did have a Zoom meeting. All right, what do we got on the text line, Connor? Middays with Marks coming away at 10 o'clock.
You guys tell me if this is a coaching decision. I think this is one that, if you qualify it as one, should be maybe top of list for everybody.
Okay.
The Eagles giving up back-to-back touchdowns on the same exact orbit motion against the Chiefs with Jonathan Gannon not coaching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is,
It's reversed.
That's sort of, you're not anticipating it the same way as a pitching change.
Yeah, that's
major
running
decision.
Running
You're
the same
watching
play on
something.
the 3rd and 11 and a 4th and 11 is probably more egregious.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But it's not great.
I get it. You're
It's not
yelling at the
great.
TV. That's like a yell at
You're
the TV
definitely yelling
moment.
at TV.
But you don't have the pitching change moment. Like Wheeler being taken out of Game 6 is just horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. I wonder how their relationship did repair.
Because you had to win that game.
You had to win 6, and there was actually
had to win.
It was told to me that if they took him out in that situation, they thought they could use him for an inning in Game 7.
I believe that's true.
And I'm thinking to myself, are you dopes?
You got to get there first.
Are you dopes?
Yeah.
You win Game 6 and you worry about Game 7.
There was games in that
happens?
series where Ranger was like, he's going to come out of the bullpen. I was sitting near the bullpen. I watched him sit there the whole time.
And you're like, what's going on?
You want to go in? No? Okay.
It's unbelievable. Oh, don't worry. It's good here. The teams are competitive.
I'm telling you.
They are competitive.
We got good clubs.
I think February is going to bring a cleansing. There has to be. There has to be.
I don't think there has to
Doesn't have to be.
No, there has to be. There has to be.
Well, the Phillies aren't doing anything.
No, because look, we all think the Phillies are going to be a pretty good team. I'm not using club.
Yeah.
I do. We all do think the Phillies are going to be a pretty good team.
Yeah.
We all know that the Eagles have a history of when they drive into a ditch, they know how to get out of a ditch. So we all know things are going to turn.
Here's why it's going to be a cleansing. Flyers won't play for more than half the month because of the Olympics.
3 weeks
right.
off. See, I found the Flyers season very enjoyable, except for the 6-game winless streak.
Yeah.
Other than that.
And yesterday.
Yesterday was
definitely not that fun at all. All right, Amy, thank you as always.
Thank you, guys.
You'll be
Good to
back
see
in
you.
See you
on
on
Friday. Fridays with Fadul.
Different
Ask
branding
me
on
Amy
Fridays.
Thing. Yep,
Yeah,
different
so
branding.
different.
Ask me
Different
anything
outset.
in that show as well, which we always look forward to. Tomorrow is an Adam Schefter Wednesday, so we'll speak with Shefty. Why the hell nobody wants to come to Philadelphia? Last week, he said, I prefer to look at it glass half full. He believed that the Eagles were a good destination. Curious what he thinks this time around.
I got a weird feeling that by the time Amy joins us on Friday, we have an OC.
Okay.
I got a
Really?
weird feeling.
All right,
yeah,
I
got
like
a weird
it.
feeling.
Matt Nagy?
No.
Oh.
Are you going to
No.
be happy about this OC?
Yeah, I have a feeling so. Now that I've seen these odds,
The
I have a
young
feeling
guys
I
coming
think
through?
Joe Brady's in play.
If it's Joe Brady, I'm
If it's
I'm
Joe
thrilled.
Brady, I'm totally
Handcuff him to a desk, invite him for an interview, and don't let him leave.
Let's hope so. All right, everybody have a great rest of your day. Middays with Marks next here on The Fanatic.
Now on 90.